Holy shit, we're back. We're back.
What's it been, 6 weeks?
Something like that. I feel like we should have Slim Shady playing in the background.
Yes, who's back? All right, I don't want to get copyright though.
But we are back again with a really special episode of the Challenge Fandom Podcast. You've got myself, Rick Hayes, my beautiful wife, Karina Hayes, Tony Stats and Info Lance. Fuck, I told you I was going to mess shit up tonight. It's been too long. Mm-hmm. And we have a very, very special guest. We've got Chris DiCarlo from the Caged In Podcast. Chris, thank you for coming back and joining us for this episode.
Hey, I appreciate you guys for having me, man. I know last time I was on, we talked about me coming back on eventually and finally made it happen. So I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man. No, we really enjoyed having you on last time. I think you bring a very interesting take to how you look at the challenge. And I remember we had a really good time talking that evening. And I think especially bringing you on for this discussion because it's a very sports-esque barbershop conversation, very much how UFC can be used as too. Mm-hmm. Excuse me one second.
Nice tie in there. I like it.
I'm trying. I'm trying to get back into the flow of this, but we're going to be debating what is the best season ever played and not resume like, oh, Bananas has got 5 wins. No, like which of his wins did he play flawless? Was it the perfect game?
Yeah.
Which one of Jordan's or CT's or whoever's won the challenge, who has played the perfect season?
Yeah. And then out of them, who, right? Like if you take Bananas free agent season and Jordan's season 40 and, you know, CT's, I don't know, Spies, Lies or Invasions. What's the better played season out of those three? You know what I mean? So I'm actually really excited for this topic.
This is going to be a fun one. It's going to be a real fun one.
Yeah.
I think the best way to do this initially, and then we'll narrow this down to one final season, regardless of if it's male or female. But in order to get into this, I think we really need to kind of break down the rules of necessary, like who we're selecting from, because I think the first thing to notate is if you haven't won a season, how is it the perfect season ever played? So non-winners, sorry, Tori, season 40, gone. Holly, War of the Worlds 2, gone. You know what I mean? Like some fucking fire seasons.
Zach and Vendettas.
Yep, Zach and Vendettas. Even though I still like to give him and like Nerys the 39 win, Nerys gone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because you can't have played the best season ever if you didn't win that season. It can't be the best.
Yeah.
And I'm actually glad you started with that because when we originally started discussing, you know, on Instagram about doing this topic, we had put like a question box on Instagram. And we were, you know, kind of like asking people like, what do you think? What do you guys think? What's the best played season? And there were so many submissions of people saying like this person on this season, but that person didn't win. Like there was even somebody, and hopefully I'm not like super calling somebody out here, but there was somebody that said Coral and Evan on Fresh Meat 2. And I was like,
on
Fresh Meat 1. And I was like, they got disqualified halfway through the fucking season. What are you talking about? What? How is that you're going to tell me that is the best played season ever of any season was Coral and Evan getting medically DQ'd halfway through the season? Like, no.
That'd be like Brandon Fresh Meat 2. Best season ever played. One of the most iconic ways to go out, drinking a beer on the way to the fucking final elimination that you can't compete in.
Yeah.
That would have been me.
Yeah.
That would have been
me. Not the best season ever played, though.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, you got to be a champion. And so these are kind of the other things that we're looking at to kind of determine what's going to be considered as the best played season. Dominance in daily challenges. I mean, did they win a lot of dailies?
Yeah, or at least multiple. You know, did you at least win multiple dailies that season?
Strategic control, their political game. When they made it to the final,
How'd they do?
Did they slip by and win, or did they dominate that final?
Right. Was it and I hate to say it this way, but was it a Casey on Spies, Lies, and Allies, or was it a Bamber on Double Agents? You know what I mean? Like, how did they actually show up in the final?
Now, this is interesting because I think this gives room to people who view the game in two different perspectives, which is how many eliminations did they win? And did they even go into elimination? You know, because I think I can make an argument for both ways on that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but it's hard to count one out. Like, because I think the idea of the game is to not go into elimination, make it to the final and win that motherfucker. But I don't want to, you know, throw shade on someone because they got thrown in because they were the most dominant person that season and had to win 5 eliminations, then got to the final and won.
Like Adam and Steve.
Exactly. So to me, I think you have to look at it both ways.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is just overall entertainment value. Were they in the background the whole season, or were they an active participant in the storyline?
Right.
And then if they had an iconic move that they pulled during the season, that'll factor in as well.
Right.
Okay.
So that's pretty much what we based everything off of. And the last little note that I want to add in is we definitely tried to avoid team seasons because it's just really hard to say like one person out of that team did everything. We did include War of the Worlds too, just because it is so often, you know, talked about being one of the best played seasons by Jordan. So we did include that one, but like you guys will notice, like we don't talk about the ruins. We're not going to be talking about the infernos or the gauntlets or anything like that.
What about the island?
We don't talk about the island on this channel. I don't know. Who are you? What is the island? I don't know what that is. I don't bring that up. Bringing up bad times.
Yeah, it's hard to say who was the most dominant player who played a perfect role on a big team like that. But
in the opposite force, I also want to say there are obviously a lot of partner seasons, you know, rivals, exes, stuff like that. And just because one partner made it onto the list does not necessarily guarantee the second partner made it onto the list. If it was clearly them working as a team the entire game, I included both of them. If it was very clear that one of them was leading the team and the other one was just kind of sitting in the background, I left the background player off the list. So I just want to say that because you guys will notice certain situations like, I mean, I don't really want to be throwing names and situations out here, but y'all will notice it. You'll notice there's certain people missing. Exactly.
Yeah.
Ashley and Hunter.
And here, I'm going to be honest. There's only a certain amount of women who have won, and we're all going to pick 3. So we're going to get down to the end of the list. So when someone makes a pick where you're like, the nitty gritty. Yeah. When someone makes a pick and you're like, nah, bro. Nah, come on. We all know that's not the best pick. Yeah. We're going to eliminate down to hopefully our best 1, maybe 2 different people we have, and then we'll debate who's the best overall.
Right.
Okay.
I like it. I'm excited.
Does everybody understand basic ground rules and how we're going to go about this? Great.
Yeah,
if you didn't, rewind it, go back, listen to it again. So, all right. I've got a will randomizer here.
Oh, let's go.
That means I'm last.
Got all 4 names. I mean,
the wheel's not very generous to me either, so we'll be fighting for last pick, I think.
I can just be honest and just, if you guys want, and just pick it, because I'm going to just go in a random order of probably my wife, because she sits next to me and she'll murder me. I'll give Chris second because he's our guest. Tony gets third. I'll take fourth.
Sure.
Cool.
Perfect. This is official. Let's run it.
Great.
That's better than the will randomizer because now I don't have to wait.
Perfect. Lovely. I like it. All right. So what are we doing?
Let's get into this fucking draft.
I didn't listen to anything you said. No, I'm just kidding.
All your ideas are stupid.
I have no idea what you said. What are we doing? Tell me again. No. Okay. So, but for the draft, are we doing one at a time? Are we doing men first? Are we doing, and then like what are we doing?
Are we separating the sexes?
I think we go one at a time, and let's just go women first, men second. And
so woman, man, or all women and all men.
All women, all men, to keep it simple.
That's what I was looking for right there.
Okay.
And it's what, 3 rounds you said? We're doing 3?
3 women, 3 men. Yep. So we'll do 3 rounds of women, 3 rounds of men.
Yeah.
And I've got the list. I will do my best to try to keep up with everybody's picks. If you give me a half second to get prepped because I am not professional at all.
So to be clear, are we picking a specific season with the person, or are we picking the person and then deciding the season?
No, you're picking the season.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Because if
making
we
sure.
don't do that, we have like 4 male winners for the last 20 seasons.
That's why I was asking.
Yeah. So no, we're definitely picking season.
Yeah, gonna specify the season.
Yeah. Okay. So women first. Karina, you're a lady. Go first. Who's
I'm
your
up
first
first.
overall pick?
Ooh, all right. So first overall pick. I'm really sorry to do this to you, but I'm taking Emily from Rivals 2. Oh, are you keeping track? Did you?
Mhm.
No, Rick's just not talking to you anymore.
I know.
Okay. Chris.
Give me Laurel from Free Agents.
You offered to go last. You could have
I
done
know,
the spinny thing.
But also, I'm kind of the host, so my opinion doesn't matter. So, all right, Tony, what you got?
I have no choice but to go Jenny 35.
Ooh,
My first season.
that's true.
And
That's
my
true.
first interview.
Yeah, it was your first season of the challenge, your first interview with us. All right.
It's fitting.
Okay.
Fuck, I gotta look at the stats. What do I took one of mine? No, I'm joking.
I mean, you still have some really good.
Yeah,
picks
there's
there.
some fucking hitters.
Like,
I
there's
forgot.
some-
There's some fucking hitters.
Yeah.
Those are definitely the top 2 off the board. Ooh. Okay, question: are we going snake order, or are we just recycling back through?
Probably Snake.
Probably Snake to give you
Probably
some
snake
choice.
order to give you some.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate
You're
that.
welcome.
If that's the case, give me Jenny season 40.
Mm-hmm.
And then give me Evelyn
Ooh.
Rivals 1.
21.
Yep.
Damn. That's tough. Yeah.
Okay, Tony, you're up.
Tony, you're up.
I'm going Sarah Rice with X's.
That's solid. That's really good.
Such a good season.
Yeah.
I don't know why I have those backwards on there, but I do. Like why I did 28 and then 26. I don't know.
I count down, okay? I don't count up, I count down.
Apparently, I could not count that day.
Chris, who you got?
I'll take Jody from The Duel.
Ooh,
Nice.
nice.
That is a solid pick. I like
Yeah.
that. All right. Who you got, Karina?
Oh, that's right. It is me. I don't know why I thought it was you.
No, it's
Oh,
not.
geez. Okay. All right.
Yeah, you got back to back too. Like a fucking Kendrick Lamar diss song.
All right.
Hey,
All right. I'm going to cheese the fuck out of this. My first
I
one.
already know.
I'm taking Miss Paula from Rivals 2. I'm taking
You son of a
both
bitch.
partners.
You motherfucker. Son of a bitch. Like single-handedly might be the most dominant season ever.
By
But...
a woman.
Yeah.
Those two. Yeah. Oh my god.
All right, who's your next pick?
And then my second pick. This one is actually kind of tough for me because I'm going back and forth between 2 different ones. But I'm going to take Rachel from Duel 2.
Chris, who you got?
I'm gonna take. I'm gonna go Cara Maria on Bloodlines.
Nice.
A little unconventional.
That is. That's
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't have called that. That was an on my bingo card.
I think that one was 27, right?
Maybe.
Yeah, 27.
Maybe.
Tony, what you got?
Also, I wouldn't feel right not taking Cara since she's
That's
like my
fair.
all-time favorite. So
There you
No,
go. Yeah.
no, I can understand that.
I am going to go Ashley 32.
Oh,
Mm.
you
I don't
son of a bitch.
I don't want Rachel 40.
Look, that
I
one
don't know why
doesn't
it's there,
count.
actually, but
Oh,
can we do like a worst wins list?
yeah.
Right?
Oh shit.
in that
Undeserved
case,
wins
I'll
list?
change
No.
my answer.
Yeah, X's really is the better one there.
Mm-hmm.
Should I
I
double
mean,
down?
it is, but
Should I double down? I don't want to double down. Do I want to steal your strategy? I'm going to steal your strategy. Give me Paula, Rivals 1.
I like it. Dude, first of all, can I just say?
No, I can't do that. We're going to get tore the fuck up. Give me Cara season 31. Give me Vendettas. I already know.
I'm gonna fuck you up.
Look, when we get down to the debate, we'll give Chris bloodlines.
Personally, I think Bloodlines is definitely. Anyway, we'll get to that.
Okay. See, that actually went a lot quicker than I thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, cool. So we got through the girls.
Okay, guys.
Yes, guys. So are we just staying with the same draft order?
I feel like our teams came out fairly decently balanced. I don't feel like this was like anybody's team is way far above than anybody else. So
I don't either.
Yeah, let's just. You guys good with going the same way, or do you want to switch it up?
No, I'm good.
First for me.
Okay. Who's your first guy? Yeah, this is where the fun really begins.
See, this is fucked up because this is where it comes down to: do I go with my head or do I go with my heart?
Do you want to win tonight's debate, or do you want to just be a fan?
Yeah, exactly. Do I go with my heart or with my head? Yeah, because I can't be both in this moment. Oh, all right. Well, I feel bad doing that to everybody too.
No,
if I was going first, I would pick a certain person. I know who it would be. I don't.
Yeah, I have my 1-1.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that season where all right.
I'm just gonna say this ahead of time. I almost feel like everybody's number one is almost gonna be the same. Maybe not. I'm excited to see. But I'm making the move.
I feel like this is kind of like, for a sports analogy, when LeBron James was getting ready to go into the NBA draft, like everybody knew who the number one pick was.
Right? Yeah, everybody knows.
Yeah, so
do you get to pick first?
You get the first pick. Go for it.
I am taking Jordan on season 40. I think that is. I can't even. I will save my thoughts right now. But
now there's people sitting around like, was that the first overall pick? Should it? Was it the consensus?
Maybe
was
it? What is she talking about? That's crazy.
All right, Chris, who you got?
I'm taking bananas on free agents.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Fantastic.
Double down on the free agents picks.
I like it.
It's one of the best seasons, so it's hard not to go with that. And I do think that how epic this season is in its lore plays into how well that person played that season.
Right.
So I will put that out there. Tony, who you got?
Oh, I've got Adam and Steve.
Oh, damn. I forgot about that.
Yeah,
is he allowed to take both of them, or does he have to choose one of them?
It says Adam/Steve.
Okay, well, that's fair.
Yeah,
that's
because
fair.
they're both males. I didn't want to list them separately.
But they're both. But you listed Evelyn and Paula separately, and you did.
They're not males.
We still ended with the same
the reason
one.
was they were males.
Yeah, to be fair, we did still end up with them on our team.
To be even more fair, they played in a season that didn't have, either same sex and like it was all mixed up. It was
exactly.
Co-ed. There we go. I couldn't think of the
chaos.
It's up to you. If we want to make them split them, we can. But
I don't care enough because I'm not going to pick them anyways. So.
Okay.
Yeah. Fuck.
You got two.
Oh fuck.
You're back.
Y'all are not going to like me after this.
No, what are you going to do?
Y'all are not going to like me after this. Do I go with just because of the lore of the season, or do I go with the clear statistical favorite? Because part of me, I'm a bitch. Okay.
What are you doing?
Give me Jordan.
Okay. 4.
Fuck, if it was the most epic season played, I would pick 1, but it's the best season played, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to go with X's, Jordan X's.
26, I think. Okay.
Yep. And then I'm going to go stats on this one solely because I think 1 is just loved by the fans a lot more because it's the first of something. But give me CT.
The fuck are you
on season 37?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
If it makes you feel better, Karina, that was also my next.
I'm going to fight you.
I'm just saying, like, that is just good. When you look at the breakdown of it, it's hard to argue against.
It's so hard to argue.
Okay, Tony, who you got?
I will go with CT on 24.
I can't believe that he fell that far. But okay. I can't believe he fell that far. I figured somebody was going to pick him up before that.
This is the first one.
No, this is the second round.
Yeah,
This
I
is the
know.
second round, but
like,
that was my head or my heart.
Yeah, I know. Okay, Chris, go ahead.
Give me Jordan War of the Worlds 2.
Ooh.
That was the one I was debating down on.
I'm glad you didn't, because that was one I had loaded up. So now I'm
Yeah.
scrambling for my last pick.
I may or may not be cross-referencing things while everybody else is picking stuff.
Yeah, I'm also
Yeah,
I'm also looking as well.
Yeah, shout out to Karina for the stat lines because this is helping a lot, honestly.
It was actually a lot quicker than I thought it would be.
Well, you're up. You got 2 picks. Your last 2.
I do. All right. I'm gonna do this, and I would like to pre-apologize to Tony ahead of time. But I am going to take the epicness that is bananas on Rivals 3.
Oh no, my favorite player.
Well, no, I just meant that now we have to debate that moment and how epic it was in the history of the challenge. And so I'm sorry that he will be on the final board for tonight's discussion. But and then my last pick.
You're cold as ice. Just putting that out there. You're cold as ice.
Sorry. All right. My last pick. I am going to go ahead and I am going to go with. I'm going to go with CT on invasions. So 29.
Okay.
Look, I have to have some kind of CT on there. And
I respect it.
I wasn't, I don't think War of the Worlds is the one. And I don't think Double Agents was the one. So that's leaves invasions. I have to have some loyalty tonight. Okay.
It's fair. Chris, who's your final pick?
Give me. Hold on, scrambling.
No, we're
Fucking call me Mike Vick out here. How much I'm running around. I could have took that joke in a totally different direction. I'm glad
you
I
could
didn't.
have, and I'm glad you didn't.
We're not doing team wins.
No, I mean, you can. I was just saying, like, that was just when I made the stat line, you know, when I made.
I'm not gonna debate this one anyway, but just for the OGs, give me Alton on Gauntlet 2.
Ooh.
Statistically, it's great, but it's a team season, so it's kind of nerfed. But
No, I can dig it.
Because I don't remember what fucking number it is.
Tony, last pick.
I'll give Wes on All Stars 3 some love.
West on AS3.
All Stars 3.
Not West.
Oh, West by West.
All
Okay.
right, who's your final pick?
Like, there are some fucking fire picks left, but
I'm waiting to see if you.
I'm going to tell you right now. The one I'm looking at is pre-season 30.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's not who I thought you were going to go with.
No. Would you think I was going to go with the Turkish assassin?
No, I did not think you would go with the Turkish assassin because I would eat you the fuck.
Yeah, dude, I would eat that.
You already know it.
I might as well just say what Chris said. And like, I'm not going to take this one in debate. I'm just picking them up. You know what I mean? I'm going to drop them off down the street.
Someday we will debate. Yeah, someday we will debate most overrated wins, and that's where we'll have conversations about that guy. Ooh,
can I give you a replacement for Alton? You can give him a shout out in your honorable mentions, but there's a fire one on the board and there's another fire one. I can't make a decision.
Sure.
Do you want it?
Who is it?
If you take this person, I'm going to take this other person. But Landon, fresh meat too. Pushing Carly's ass up that fucking hill by herself. That's
true.
Mm-hmm.
He's one that I was looking at too.
Okay.
No, I'm gonna stick with Alton. I'm sticking with Alton. I'm sticking to my pick.
I'm gonna go with the sleeper pick that no one, and I'm surprised Tony. I'm surprised Tony didn't call this one.
You are doing it.
Yes.
I was curious.
I'm gonna do it. I totally forgot about it.
You gonna rep for fucking?
Yeah. What up, CBS in the house? Chris from USA 2. And if you really look at the stats and who he went against, if you guys want to debate it down, I'll bring up the stats right now.
I got it ready now.
I was going to say, you don't have to. He just wasn't on the list, so I didn't pick him.
He was on there.
I remember the season, man.
No, you know what? He wasn't because I didn't initially have him on the list.
Different list.
No, so what happened was I didn't initially have him on the list. I didn't even think about USA's, honestly. I was just kind of looking more at flagship and then All-Stars snuck in a couple times with like West, whatever. But we were actually...
I wrote it in.
Rick was actually... where did that come from?
I was on the phone talking.
Oh, you were on the phone talking to Pierre.
Yeah.
That's right. From the Zach Nichols podcast.
Yeah, so shout out to Pierre for this idea.
Yeah, shout out to Pierre. And we were kind of telling him what the topic was and kind of what we were going to be discussing. And he was like, and this was when we were planning to record a couple weeks ago, and we had invited him on, and he was like, I can't make it, but make sure you represent for Chris on USA 2. It was so amazing, blah, blah, blah. So shouts out to Pierre. He's making it to the final. Chris is making it to the final board for the debate tonight. So
yeah,
can I swap one of mine then?
Who are you swapping?
I'm swapping Wes All-Stars 3 for Troy from Australia.
Oh, there you go.
Did he win? Oh, he won the. How many episodes was it?
From Australia?
Yeah, how many was it like the UK where it was like 4?
I think Australia was like
he got 4 daily. I know that he got 4 daily wins.
Oh, then you can count that one. You can 100% count that.
Yeah, I don't think it was like the UK one where it was literally like 4 episodes long.
That's like to me that's too short of a. Yeah, if it's 10, I think that's fair because
I think it was like 8 or 10 episodes. Yeah.
Yeah, because Rivals was like 11.
Well, and even All Stars were only 10 or 11 seasons.
So that's fine. No,
and
that's
the early seasons were only like 8 or 10. So what was that? That was Australia.
Yeah. So I've got this prep for when we get into it, but I do want to shout out some honorable mentions that we didn't get named out here that I think we really could have brought on here. Obviously Sarah Rice on Rivals 3.
Yeah.
Great season. Just didn't end the way it should have. Same with Hunter on season 32. It was a decent season. Should have probably gone a different way.
Mm-hmm.
I think a one sleeper season that we really didn't talk about is maybe Zach on Battle of the Seasons.
Yeah.
San Diego kind of ran that more of a team theme, so we didn't bring that into the discussion.
That's a good point too. Yeah. But I mean, aside from the negativity that surrounds his win, if you take all that away, he actually played the game really well. He's just a dick. So
you could throw Turbo out there. I mean, that will get ripped up.
It'll get ripped up.
But Darrell,
I was going to say, what about Darrell on what was that? Fresh Meat?
Yeah, with Fresh Meat.
Now, really quick, I want to throw out an honorable mention for somebody that did not win.
Okay.
But had, in my opinion, a very impressive season that is still talked about to this day and matched a record that is still trying to be beaten to this day. And that is Wes and Casey on Fresh Meat.
Oh, okay.
Impeccable season, impeccable social play. Wes is always on it with the social gameplay. But even Casey was in on the social gameplay that season. And how many they did the 5 eliminations, won all the eliminations, obviously didn't win the final, but I think that's one of those kind of like what were we talking? Well, I don't agree with the Evan Cora one, but I think there are a couple of seasons where like it was such a well-played season, and Polly on War of the Worlds won.
And War of the Worlds too. Played great seasons.
Yeah, impeccable play. But just didn't quite make it to the final and win.
And even though it's not looked fondly upon right now because it just happened so recently, but Tori on season 40 is probably one of the most dominant seasons by a woman we've seen.
Yeah.
That didn't end in a win.
Well, and I know that we brought this up earlier, but I can't remember if it was actually on the recording or if it was before we started recording. But, just another little honorable mention to those people who, on seasons like Vendettas and season like Battle for a New Champion, season 39, who would have won if there was more than one winner. All Stars won with John A.
Yeah.
Zach on Vendettas, Nerys on Battle for a New Champion. I feel like there was another 1 or 2 situations like that. But
Kellyanne would have been All Stars
with John A. and Kellyanne.
Yeah.
That's right. They would have ended up tying. So, big props to them. Great seasons. Just didn't quite make it across the finish line first. So can't say it's the best.
And that's the same with like Horacio too, from his first season.
Oh, from Ride or Dies.
Again, tied for the elimination wins, but then also was only taken out of the final by medical evac of his partner, not him. And still wanted to run it himself and do everything twice.
Yeah, and they were beating Bananas and Nani in that final, you know. So I mean,
CT Rivals won.
Yeah, CT on Rivals won.
One of the most dominant seasons ever.
Yeah, they literally had the entire cast trying to get that man out, and they couldn't fucking do it till the very last elimination.
But because of our rule, no win, can't get in this debate. Right. So with that being said, I think it's time we start kind of whittling down our list. Otherwise, we're going to be here all night trying to go through this. Now, starting off with the women.
Ooh.
Is there anyone on your team that you're like, I can't really make an argument against some of the other people on this board? Can you narrow it down to one person, or are we going to have to debate this down? Because looking at mine.
So narrowing it down to the people on our team.
Yeah, down to one person, one woman. Can you do that?
I could,
but I do just want to throw an honorable mention to someone we don't have on the list, but did absolutely dominate.
Yeah.
Desi.
Oh, yeah.
She did really good that season.
She did amazing.
She really did good.
Especially after like the soul crushing first season.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, she did amazing.
Agreed.
Let's just run this down in order of the way we drafted, looking at your team first.
Okay.
From the women, I think you can drop Paula and Rachel because, to be honest, if Rachel against Emily loses, Paula against Emily loses.
Yeah.
Even though they played on the same team, we are all aware that Emily is the physical presence that pushed that team through the dailies in the final.
Yeah, I definitely, I got first pick and I got my first pick. I truly believe that Emily's gameplay on Rivals 2 was damn near perfect, if not perfect. And if it wasn't perfect, the not perfect sides are completely overshadowed by how much she dominated those dailies. And not that Paula wasn't part of it. I'm not saying that. But, we saw Paula for many, 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 many years. And Paula didn't start winning until she started having partners like Evelyn, like Emily. And, if it were to come down to like those two, Evelyn and Emily, I'm not exactly sure like who would win in like an elimination or something like that. But I do think that Emily's play on season 24 was better than Evelyn's play on season 21. So I am my number one pick from my girls is going to be Emily on Rivals 2, and I'm going to stick with that.
Chris, yours is a little bit more difficult to me.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, I think you can make a real solid debate for Laurel and Jody as best seasons ever played. As much as Kara's first win is iconic to the fandom, I don't believe it's the best season ever played. She caught a lot of shit that season, and with showing up didn't help.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, is that almost more impressive, though, that she had to deal with a shitstorm and still got a win?
That is fair. That is fair.
I mean,
she beat Anissa's big ass in a pole wrestle.
Yeah.
And she eliminated Bananas and Vince right before the final.
Yeah.
I
mean, it's pretty.
Jamie was a rookie, so they based her entire gameplay off just her social game and not Jamie's.
Yeah. It was definitely Kara's contacts, Kara's, knowledge that got them through the game.
And that red team that won every challenge, she drafted herself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that is true.
I mean,
that's a solid argument.
You make a good argument for it, actually.
Are you going to try to take all three?
No, if I had to narrow it down to one, I would go with my first pick, obviously, because I picked her first. It would be Laurel on Free Agents.
It's just such a hard season to argue. Like, Laurel's such a force, She
had girls literally crying because they had to go against her in elimination.
Yeah, well, I mean, even going back to her very first season on Fresh Meat 2, impeccable performance. She won damn near every elimination. She was with Kenny, right?
Yeah,
I believe. They won almost every daily, but they didn't win the final. So, but yeah, it's just it's hard to argue Laurel on Free Agents. The only argument that I would have against Laurel on Free Agents is how close Nani was to her. And in my opinion, I was like, how the fuck did you let Nani get that damn close to you, Laurel? You should have smoked her. Like,
Yeah, I agree.
but you also have to kind of factor in the Zach thing, and
Exactly.
so it's difficult.
Yeah, I think it evens out.
Yeah, and I mean, big shout outs to Jody, because I think Jody was the precursor to the Laurel free agents, the Jenny 35, the Jenny season
First
40.
Just solo female winner.
Yeah, and just the dominant, like, she didn't see an elimination, I think, that whole season.
Jody?
And she won multiple dailies.
Yeah, 0 eliminations, 7 out of 15 dailies.
Yeah, she fucking dominated. And I think you can really take those two to the final debate, in my opinion.
Well, and to be honest, with the whole Jody on Duel, a lot of the times the argument for these earlier seasons is the difficulty, the lack of actual physical competition in those early seasons. But Duel, in my opinion, is kind of like the marker for when things started to kind of get serious physically in the game. And that whole season, I mean, that's the one where we have CT doing that bunny hop challenge that Jody absolutely murdered. You know what I mean? So like the carabiner eliminations, like there was that whole season was, and in my opinion, it's like one of the best seasons to rewatch. Like the replayability of that season is
it was
top
good.
notch.
And like the way they do the way they did the eliminations too, where they would draft back and forth genders after the challenge, and there was no like deliberation or whatever in between. It was just kind of in the moment, like, all right, guy, girl, whichever was the last pick goes in, and then that person picks who they go against an elim. And obviously, if you're in last place and you see Jody win 7 dailies, you're not going to call her out in elimination. So she kind of just dominated her way through the entire season until she got to the final.
Well, and that was one of the ones where they random picked, like, just drew a card, and that was what the actual elimination was, right?
Yeah, I think there was 4 cards where you pull one, and that's whatever game you can't.
Yeah, because Bananas went home to
who you're playing.
Went home to the watermelon lifting one
against
Tyler. I like those seasons. I think like the Gauntlet had the wheel thing where you had to spin the wheel. I like those ones where the elimination is random and
it's predetermined. You see it multiple times a season. I think that's cool.
Yeah, I do too. So great season.
Okay, Tony, is there anyone from your side that you're willing to drop right now, or do you think you can make an argument for all of the above?
I mean, like, looking at it objectively, Jenny on Total Madness stands alone.
I think you can make an argument for Sarah and X's, but yeah, I do think
I can absolutely make an argument for Sarah Rice, but a lot of how well she did also pairs with how well she did with Jordan. And that's not to discredit her or Jordan. They were just an amazing pair.
They were.
And I think this is a very much an opposite situation of, and I hate to say it, the Evelyn Paula situation, where there was one member of the team that was, obviously dominant in the structure of the team, where this was a well-ran team where Sarah is really the political power and social powerhouse that she is, who can also hold her own in physical and endurance. And Jordan is the beast in endurance and physical,
right,
and can hold his own in social.
Right.
So it's just a well-balanced team that played well together. So I agree.
Yeah.
And like one of the things that stands out as to why I would go Jenny 35 over Sarah is actually the elimination with the hammer against Zach and John A. Because it was Jordan that actually absolutely smoked Zach on
it.
And that's no shade to Sarah either. She did well, but like
she struggled. She struggled to actually like connect the hammer at the right time to get that thing to move. And I also think that Jordan's performance in that elimination, it hits more because nobody expected Jordan to win that one.
Yeah, it's on par. Like, if I think of that elimination with Jordan, I also think of the one with Theo and then also the tug of war with Josh.
Right.
Like, those are the 3 that stand out to me as those eliminations that you're like, this is why you don't fuck with Jordan.
Yeah, because he shouldn't have won those.
Yeah. I mean, I think you can make a real argument for Ashley in 32. It's politically one of the better games. Socially, it's one of the better games played. Not politically. Socially, it's one of the better games played based on the alliances she had. And you can't really argue against her in that, other than the fact that if Natalie doesn't get lost, Paulie and Natalie might win that final.
They probably smoke everybody.
Yeah, and that's a hard part of that.
If Natalie doesn't get lost, and even surprisingly doesn't get eaten by wildlife while being lost, on her own. But I knew that if I went further with Ashley, I was just going to get an onslaught of, if it wasn't for Hunter, she wouldn't have got to the end, because I've worked with Karina for long enough. So even though I don't necessarily think that Hunter deserved any of the money, I also know that Ashley got there with a partner.
Yeah. Well, and here's my argument against it, and surprisingly has nothing to do with Hunter. I didn't even put him on the fucking list.
I know.
But here's my only real argument against Ashley for best season ever played. She didn't even come in until halfway through.
Exactly.
They were mercenaries that came in, beat someone in elimination, and got added to the game on episode like 8 or 9 or something like that. So it was literally like halfway through the game. And to me, it's difficult to say it was the best played season when you weren't there for like the opening just onslaught of just chaos and everybody being attacked. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like someone has to go first in those moments and then second. And if you make a mistake, like right out of the gate, you have a target painted on your back, because if you say a name once, it's way easier to say it again and again and again.
Right.
Agreed.
Right.
All right. Looking at mine, I'm having a hard time because I love Kara, and as well as 31 was played socially for her, and which it was, she did not dominate that season by any means.
Yeah, the stats don't add up for Vendettas, I think, for hers.
Yeah,
exactly.
The final is just, it's too hard to say it was the best played season, the best ran final, when you were getting your ass kicked literally the entire final and ended up winning on a format scheme that took Zach's entire lead away. You know, and I hate to say it that way, and I'm not trying to like come at Kara or anything, but it's just the facts of the matter that like he was 2 hours ahead of everybody. And that got reduced to 2 minutes. And that's crazy. Absolutely crazy. So
that's production for you.
Yeah, I know. They love to do that shit.
So I'm having a hard time on this one.
Okay.
Getting rid of either Jenny or Evelyn. Because Evelyn won 50%. Evelyn and Paula won 50% of the dailies that season.
Yeah.
And that is almost fucking equivalent to what Paula and Emily did.
Right.
They also beat, if I remember correctly, Kara and Laurel in the final. Did they not?
Of Rivals one?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think who was. Kara and Laurel were in the final, I think.
Yeah. And I think the other one was, I forget who the other one. Doesn't matter.
I forget too.
But
we didn't watch this stuff.
No, I watched Rivals just years ago.
Yeah.
It's a fairly dominant season, but to me, I think what's putting Jenny for season 40 over the top is the fact that if it wasn't for the rule of you've had to win to have the best season ever played, Tori in season 40 would be my pick.
Okay.
And that's the hard part about it, is like, so even though Tori had a better season, I think, than Jenny did, Jenny got the W. So it just adds that extra point to it. So she beat someone who's had a better season, technically. So does that give her more points? That's what I'm trying to debate with myself.
Right.
I mean, she did absolutely dust her in that final, too.
It wasn't even fucking close.
Yeah,
and
it
that's
wasn't
the
even
thing.
close.
Like, but the next closest person was Kellyanne. Or not Kellyanne, I'm sorry. It was Michelle.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say, that means that she was real far behind.
I was like,
Kellyanne was there.
Yeah, Kellyanne was like a season behind. No, but Michelle was fairly close. But I mean, Rachel getting the shared win because of the fucking karma points.
Stupid.
It doesn't take it away from me.
Stupid.
Yeah.
I'm gonna drop Evelyn and I'll drop Kara and I'll just take Jenny to the dance.
You taking Jenny to the dance?
I'm taking Jenny to the dance. So you're taking Laurel to the dance.
She's taking you to the dance.
We're both taking Jenny to the dance, Tony. Hive mind, bro. That's what I'm talking about.
Jenny's a player.
All right. We'll start from the bottom up this time. I'll go with myself first.
Okay.
Fuck, this is tough. This is really tough because to me, Chris's season, and here, I'm going to give you the argument for Chris's season right here.
I can leave if you want. You can just debate for me.
I mean, maybe.
I'm just joking. Go ahead.
No. So he won, I believe, 4 or 5 dailies. I don't have the exact number in front of me. I'm trying to
5 out of 13.
5 out of 13, but some of those were team because it was green team, blue team.
Yeah.
But
I did not take that into account when I counted daily wins. If you were on the winning team, you got the count for the daily.
But that's happened on every major season. Rivals,
30.
they did team dailies. They did it on
and
30.
Those count too when they like whenever they do their stat totals, like those count, right?
Yeah,
100%,
absolutely.
yeah.
Like even on like season 40, how they were in team and then they went individual, or like, 30, or even free agents where it was like, sometimes you're on a team, sometimes you're in a pair, sometimes you're solo. Those all count to their overall stats through actual like MTV, The Challenge, Bune and Murray. So we count them too.
Exactly.
So the only thing we don't really count is like Champs vs. Pros, Champs vs. Stars, because it's such a different show in our opinion that it's like a completely different thing. But anyway, sorry.
So-
And they were playing for charity, I think.
Yeah, they were playing for charity. Yeah. They weren't living in a house together.
Yeah.
They were staying in a hotel in LA.
I think they filmed for 10 days.
Yeah, they filmed for like 10 days. They all had their own rooms. You didn't have to deal with the social and living together. So it's just different.
Okay, so here's
It's
my
just funny
argument
because
for
it had
Chris.
some of the worst social play of any of the seasons.
Had 5 dailies.
Okay.
Worst social gameplay of the season. Yes, I would agree with that on Chris. He did not have a good social gameplay.
Yeah.
Had 4 eliminations. Now, here's, I think the knock on it is who he went up against in eliminations. They were mostly all unknowns, which is Luis from Amazing Race. Tyler, I think he also beat Wes is one big name, Sebastian being the other.
Okay.
But I think the more impressive thing is who he beats in the final. He beats Bananas.
Yeah.
He beats Corey and he beats Fessy.
Yeah.
Fessy beat himself.
Doesn't matter. Still counts.
Fessy beat himself.
You know what I mean? So that's like almost a murderer's row of what you would get on a standard challenge season in a final. The only person that's missing out of that lineup is Kyle. And then it's like, it's 35 all over again, pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, even the ones that he eliminated that were new to the game are still heavy hitters in their, like in the season as a whole.
Their respective shows like Big Brother and Survivor. Absolutely. So I think you can make an argument for Chris. With that being said, do I think he can compete with some of your guys' number 1 picks? Absolutely not. But I wanted to share my reasoning behind that. With that being said, I can't make a logical choice between CT37 and Jordan X's right now. So I'm going to hold on to those 2.
Okay.
Tony, do you have 1 or 2 you can get rid of?
So I'm actually stuck between Adam and Steve and Troy, because like Adam and Steve, like we just watched it. Yeah. They played a great season. They were public enemy number 1, oddly, because they were considered quote unquote rookies, because they were faces that haven't been around for a while, yet they're some of the faces we know and have known the longest. But then they kept getting thrown into elimination. They kept coming back out of elimination. They sent home arguably one of the strongest teams there in Devin and Leroy, and they beasted the final as well. Like, their social game may not have been the best, but they partnered with people who were better at the social components than they were.
Right. Which I think still counts towards social play. Like if you don't know how to run social play or politics in a house like that, but you have a friend who does, and you kind of hand the reins over and trust that, like to me, that's still social play. You're recognizing your weakness and you're fixing it by working through another person. So I think, that's fair. I think that still deserves credit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And as far as Troy goes, like he has the daily wins from like Australia. Not only that, like his elimination, he made it the whole way through and then went into an elimination at the end. It was the equivalent of like, it was a Pato brawl. So they had to hold on to the thing, whoever lets it go. And he went up against Conrad, who's this huge fucking dude. And Troy is not. And he just got like drug around the entire arena. It was very reminiscent of Joss and Derek. Like you weren't expecting Troy to come out on top, and he did. Not only that, he finishes the elimination. They're all standing in the arena, and Brioni says, cool, now we're going to the final now. No rest for Troy. They had to do a puzzle before they get to go to sleep. He did the puzzle first, went to bed, and then he came in first throughout the entire final and beat Kieran, who we all saw on Battle for a New Champ do like pretty well until he ran into Jordan. So I'm going to hold on to both of them. I'm going to let CT go from 24. Rick's confused by that simply because, like, in the grand scheme of things, there are better CT seasons than 24. I can argue better for other outings with CT than I can for that particular season.
I get what you're saying, but I can counter that argument by saying the people that CT beat in Rivals 2 are far superior challengers than the people that Troy beat in Australia.
That's a good point.
True.
And so to me, like, that adds to a season. If you're beating a whole bunch of rookies compared to beating some seasoned vets, that one of which ends up with 7 wins, the other one ends up with, you know, who else was on there? Zach ends up with 1 win. Jordan ends up on Jordan, who made the final, ends up being considered a GOAT now with 5 wins.
Yeah.
I mean, like, there's something to be said about that season. The fact that they ran it the whole time without ever being eliminated, even though they were the biggest threats and every single person in the house knew it and didn't have the balls to throw them in. I think you can make a better argument for CT over Troy or Adam and Steve. In my humble opinion.
It was very humble. I'm just looking at it from the point of view of, if we then go into this with trying to find the best season for each individual person, I can't argue that one over top of some of the other outings by CT. I can hold on to it for now and see what happens.
No, it's your list, buddy. I just wanted to give the fans a moment to hear our debate. So you're going to keep Troy and Adam and Steve. What?
I mean, I'll hold on to CT for now, but
nothing. I have thoughts. But I'm debating.
This is
on
a
whether
podcast
or not,
we are recording.
Yeah,
I'm waiting on what I'm deciding on whether or not I actually want to say it, because it would be very out of character for me to
make an argument. Oh, don't say it, because you're going to end up being called on and regret it.
It's like, don't.
It's a podcast. We're recording.
Tony's like, do it.
You either got to say it or I'm moving on to Chris.
Chancellor Palpatine over there. Do it.
I am the Senate.
Do it. Okay, here's what I will say about season 24. And I'm not saying this for or against keeping CT on the board over Troy or anything like that. All I will say in regards to what you said about CT on 24 is, yes, they were the biggest threat. But the people who would have had to fight that had zero fucking control over whether or not CT and Wes actually went into elimination, because it was girls voting for guys, guys voting for girls. And CT was doing quite a bit of the girls. And if he wasn't doing them, he was definitely making them feel special. So
doesn't that even add to it? Because he's politicking too?
Is politicking the same as social gameplay?
Yes.
I don't know.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes,
I'm now forced to defend my previously not defending, in that if we're looking at Jordan for 40, we have to consider CT for 24 for the exact same reason.
That's fair.
I believe. And look, that's just looking at the list, and I'm only saying it from my perspective of, if your list was my list, how I would break it down, this is what I would do. With that being said, it's not my list. So,
cool.
There we go. Chris, do you got anyone you can drop?
Yours is kind of tough, honestly.
Yeah.
You just dropping Alton right now?
Yeah, definitely dropping Alton. But shout out to the OGs. I always like to give the OGs some shine, because everybody forgets about them.
They do.
Especially on that season. He had 9 daily wins, 3 elimination wins. And that was like kind of the beginning of the challenge, where people started focusing more on like athletic prowess between like Alton and Landon, like guys like that. They kind of shaped the way that players kind of started showing up once we started getting into the 20s and 30s. So I always like to throw those guys in there. But no, I can't make an argument for Alton compared to some of these other guys. So I really come down to Bananas on Free Agents and Jordan on War of the Worlds 2. And you can really make a good argument for both, to be honest. Just the sheer stats for Jordan on War of the Worlds 2, like the amount of daily wins, the way he kind of had his back against the wall and kind of flipped sides and still ended up coming out with the win. And who he ended up beating in the final. Obviously, it was a team final, but just the names he ended up beating in that season.
But even then, I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, even out of the team win, Jordan was the first person to cross the water and get onto that boat. So he was the first of that team to actually cross the finish line. So for me, that team win counts a little bit different than like if you were going to use like CT on War of the Worlds, where he was literally the last person, like D beat him across
for sure. I also think Jordan was the last one to survive the purge on that season as well in that final. They had that puzzle before they made it to the actual final. I think he was the last one to actually make it, and then he ended up getting the win. But yeah, I mean, like you look at, he beat Theo in elimination, who was 3-0 at the time, and then he beat Josh in that tug of war, which is historic,
iconic. Yeah,
yeah,
that one's tough. Yeah,
it's tough. And then Bananas on Free Agents too that was my first pick, so it's like hard for me to not back that one. Yeah, I'm gonna double down on free agents. I had Laurel free agents. I'm just gonna go Bananas free agents and run with that season and into the finals.
Yeah, and the more I'm looking at this and I'm seeing the representation that we're gonna get in this final debate amongst the men, I'm gonna get rid of Jordan and X's.
He said Jordan and X's doesn't stand a chance.
No, I'm just looking at it and like I wouldn't take Jordan and X's over free agents. I wouldn't take Jordan over CT in season 37, which in my opinion is his best season.
CT's best, yeah.
Yeah, like it is masterfully played. Yeah. Masterfully played.
37 Spies Lies, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get the numbers and the names confused.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah, because Ride or Die is 38.
Yeah,
39.
no, it was his most recent win, Spy Lies.
I definitely agree.
The fact that he comes back the season before, has his back up against the wall and does really well and ends up winning.
Turns around, comes back, wins.
But comes back even more in shape, and people are like, nope, I'm good. I don't want no part of this dude. Let's just let him skate to the final again.
Yeah.
And then it's a random roulette of whatever female we put with him in this final, they're going to win too. It doesn't matter. They could have put Big T in that fucking last part and they would have won.
Agreed. Well,
you know what I mean?
There's just something special about it. Again, statistically, all of that, it is definitely his best season, but there's just something also very special about that 3 run, right? Because he was on 34 and 1, and then he skipped 35 and obviously that doesn't count. But then he came back for 36 and 1, and then came back for 37 and 1. So it's like he, did this 3-season run of winning 3 times in a row. And there's just something special about that third one. So 37, in my opinion, is definitely his best. Anyway, moving on.
I agree.
So, Karina, let's boil your guys down.
Jordan 40. We don't have to boil shit down. Mm-hmm. Look, Bananas on 28. In my opinion, I'm just going to say, in my opinion, there's no better played season than Jordan on this most recent season. And yes, maybe a tiny bit of recency bias going into this because it's so fresh. But also, if you just look at the numbers, you don't even think about the social play. You don't think about any of the stuff that he did throughout the season. You just look at the numbers. He won half the fucking dailies. Like that's crazy in this day and age, not back in, season 11, like whatever. This day and age, all the vets, it's just, so to me, Jordan 40 is definitely better than Bananas 28 or CT 29. CT 29 to me is just a little more like.
It's his comeback.
Yeah, it's emotional. I don't want to say nostalgic. What's the word I'm looking for? But like.
I think if he goes into one more elimination in 29, you can make a real argument. But the fact that he only beat Laurel out of the champs, and even though it was in Not So Fast.
And the champs, yeah, exactly.
But if he would have beat Bananas and beat Laurel, or beat Zach and beat Laurel,
yeah,
I think we have a different discussion.
I'm definitely going to stick with, and then, like I said, Bananas 28, obviously, absolutely iconic season.
Social masterpiece.
Rivals. It's literally a masterful play on the social game. And that's between him and Sarah. Like they were running that shit. The season was impeccable. The cast was impeccable. The location, scenery, like literally everything. The house was beautiful. Like the entire season is so iconic. And then, of course, we have the moment where Bananas steals the money, which is one of the most iconic things in challenge history, right next to banana backpack. And maybe that's why he took the money. Maybe he was trying to bury the banana backpack a little bit. It didn't work, but maybe that's what he was trying to do. I don't know. Either way, very iconic, but I still think Jordan 40 is better than Bananas 28 or CT 29.
And to fuel your point, iconic doesn't mean best played season.
Right. Exactly.
No, it doesn't. And I think as now we're moving into the final debate of the women, like what's the best women's season of all time out of these four that we've narrowed it down to? We have to ask our question, does most dominant season equal the best season, the most perfect season ever played?
Mm-hmm.
Because in my opinion, Laurel's free agent win, because I'm going to be honest, Jenny season 40 is not the perfect woman season to me. I can't even really argue that against Jenny 35, Laurel free agents, and Rivals 2. After those three, there's a big drop off on the women's side. You can make some arguments for Sarah and Nexus too. But really, those are the three top women's seasons. So I'll eliminate myself with Jenny in season 40 right away.
Works out.
But to me, the most dominating season that any woman's ever had was Laurel and Free Agents.
Okay.
But
so here's my question.
Is it the best season?
Yeah. So here's my question. And first of all, I just want to say, maybe other than Total Madness, but I also 35. I also think that people are starting to come around a little bit on it. But I think that all three seasons for the women that are on the board right now are like super iconic seasons. So I think that the iconicness, I know that's not a word, but that's what I'm saying right now, around these seasons is pretty even for all of them, because Rivals 2, absolutely epic. Free Agents, absolutely epic. Like both of those seasons are often named in like the top 3 best like fan favorite seasons of all time. And like I said, I think Total Madness is one of the better or one of the best newer age seasons. It just wasn't taken well because of the situation surrounding it, them being in the bunker, the COVID thing, all of that. But if you actually like look at the cast, you like break down the dailies, the fucking theme was stupid. You know,
then that makes it a non-iconic season. Then,
but then you've got Bananas and West like pretending to be like friends.
I'm saying like
Bananas and West Cape, Loki.
Yeah. I'm saying like the stupid, like, you know, like the I don't mean like the theme of like, I just mean like the location, how everything was just, we were out in the fucking dirt all the time and we're doing the same like that. But the actual dailies, the eliminations that they did, the final that they ran, like
the social gameplay within the house,
exactly.
Within the bunker.
I think that the season itself is iconic, and I think fans are starting to come around and see that it's better than it was when it happened, and we all hated it.
I mean,
it brought you me.
It did. I do understand that, but in my opinion, and I'm just going to start attacking other people's lists because that's what I can do from here.
Because you got rid of your own first.
Yeah. Well, I still have Evelyn from Rivals 1.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So, and to me, Evelyn's season's more impressive than Jenny's season 35. The more I thought about it, just was, or season 40. I mean, my debate is if we're going on iconic seasons, Rivals 1 is often quoted as the best partner season ever.
Well, I'm not saying to go off iconic seasons. I'm just saying like the argument of like, oh, this was the best played season and it's an iconic season. All the 3 of the seasons left are iconic. So that argument,
like
in my opinion, is kind of out of the window because all 3 of the seasons left are very iconic seasons. Okay. It's not like we're talking about Battle of the Seasons or New Champion or something like that. Like they're well-liked seasons by the fans. I mean, fuck, fans are throwing a fit right now because they can't even get access to Total Madness or anything after it, you know? So, but so are you going with Evelyn 21 or are you going with Laurel free agents?
Look, and that's my thing is I think Laurel played a better season than Evelyn.
Well, here's my question that I actually want to present to the table. And I also obviously want to put out to the listeners. Which do you value more? Winning multiple eliminations or never even being nominated / not seeing the elimination? Like, what do you, when you think about, when you're assessing your players and you're thinking about, you know, eliminations, what in your head is like, where do you sit on that?
It depends on why. If you're just like fumbling through the game and as a result get put in elimination, then you've been in elimination multiple times. Yeah, you saved yourself, but you're being put in because you're dumb. But if like, for example, Adam and Steve, they were initially like, these guys are an easy out, and then tossed them in, and then they came back. And then they were like, this didn't work. Let's try it again. And then they start to realize like, that's not happening. And they use them as a wrecking ball, sort of the same way that they were using Horacio on his first season. Where, and I realize we're talking about the women and I'm referencing guys.
That's okay.
To prove my point of like, the contrast between the two. And then you've got other seasons where people don't go into elimination at all because they're perceived as so much of a threat that you don't want to take that shot and miss. So they're trying to only put somebody in on like a sure thing. And that doesn't always work. So people are more hesitant to throw somebody in. Like, again, I'm using a guy for reference. I don't like Turbo, but nobody wanted to put him in elimination because no one wanted to be down there with him.
Yeah.
Like that's a feather in your cap as far as being a dominant player. It had nothing to do with his social game. So I wouldn't consider that to be a positive for him to be considered for like best season. But I could see somebody else like an Emily, for example. You want to make sure that shot lands. And you don't just want to whiff it.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
Okay, I think we need to break it down like this. If we were going to match up Emily season 24 versus Evelyn season 21, which one's the better season played?
I'm going Emily on rivalries.
I would go Emily as well.
I would also go Emily.
There's same. As much as I want to argue Evelyn, the one elimination versus the 0 eliminations. Maybe Paula's the secret ingredient here. Maybe Paula is the one we should be talking about. Okay, so we're gonna.
I mean, we tried.
Yeah, we're gonna give it to Emily on this one. So I'll rescind Evelyn. Then let's look at this because both of them went to 4 eliminations, and I think it's a good comparison on dominating seasons between Laurel and free agents and Jenny and 35. Who are you taking?
Jenny did 2 eliminations on 35.
It's more than 0 is what I mean. It's a closer resemblance to Laurel season than it was Emily's season or Evelyn's season. Right.
So, okay, sorry. I'm back on track. My issue with Jenny's run on 35, her final is like beyond impressive. She smoked the entire cast.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
The issue is she went up against Hello Earthlings and D. So she went up against somebody who didn't even know why she was there. And then she got a hall brawl against somebody who was edited out of the hall brawl. Right. So
that one caught me.
It's just Jenny tackling.
Who did she beat? And my thing is who did she beat in the final?
Bananas.
Total, yeah, she beat Bananas.
But on the women's side, who'd she beat on the women's side?
Wasn't that the one where Bailey went out and
Melissa quit?
Melissa quit.
Yeah.
I think it was Casey.
Casey was the other one. So she ended up beating Casey, plus she beat all of the men. She beat Bananas, that's the thing, is Bessie.
But didn't
wasn't Corey out there?
Yeah, Corey was out there.
On the mountain too.
Wasn't.
Yeah, but she wasn't. It wasn't a winner take all season. It was a men's winner, and a female winner. So to me, you can't. Yeah, she did that, and that's super impressive. But to me, Laurel's just as an impressive win because Nani to me is a more iconic player and a stronger challenge player than Casey.
Iconic entertainment wise, not physically.
She's made more finals than her ex-fiance.
Why?
Because she's a better challenger.
Because she's not a threat.
She might not be a better physical player, but she's a better challenger.
Let's be real.
She's
here.
always there in the end, though. She's always
Nani doesn't go away.
She played CT Rivals 2 every season. That's why she made it to the fucking final.
Well, so what? That's part of social gameplay. So does Ashley. We don't say anything about that.
We do, and it's fine. I'm not saying anything bad about it. I'm just saying that, like, someone who makes it there without that approach versus someone who makes it there with that approach, I'm always going to take the person who makes it there without that approach.
So here's my thing. Like, go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, yes, there's a male winner and a female winner, but the point remains that she beat everyone in her category and everyone in the other category. Like, she cleared the board.
Like, if it was an individual winner, and just to be clear, this is still one of the biggest conspiracies in the challenge fandom, is that season was supposed to be a single winner, but they intended it for Bananas to break his winning streak. And when Jenny got there before Bananas did, that's when they changed it to a male and a female. I don't know the specifics behind this conspiracy or why it's even out there, but I know it's out there. Okay. So just assume, if they did that, Bananas wouldn't have that win. So I think it is an impressive thing. Now, do I think that Jenny on 35 is more impressive than Laurel on Free Agents? No.
Okay.
But I'm just saying.
What are we talking about then?
Because you're taking away from what Jenny accomplished in that
phenomenal.
Moment, so I'm gonna fight for that.
It is phenomenal, and it's better than what she did.
I'm arguing.
Girl power, okay? I'm gonna fight for that shit.
It's better than what she did on season 40, but it's not better than what Laurel did to me on season 25. To me, Laurel's Free Agents is arguably one of the most impressive wins, and it's one of the most iconic wins.
But here's my question, and I go back to my original question that I posed to the table, and I know really only Tony got a chance to answer it, but what do you value more, multiple elimination wins or avoiding elimination altogether? Because me personally, I believe that the entire point of the game is to avoid elimination, make it to the final, and win the money. So if someone can win numerous daily challenges, avoid elimination altogether, and then go into the final and whoop ass and win, that's the perfect season, in my opinion. And so for me, yes, Laurel's Free Agents run is better than Jenny's 35 run, but Emily's 24 run is better than Laurel's 25.
I mean, if you look at like perfect season would be, not touching elimination, going to the final and winning. But obviously those circumstances are a lot of time out of their hands. So when you look at just pure statistics at the end of the day, isn't it almost more impressive for you to go into elimination against your own will, win multiple times, and then still come out on top in the final? Because obviously if you're looked at as a big threat like Laurel in 25, and you go into elimination 4 times because people are trying to get you out because they know they can't beat you in the final, and you still win all 4 of those times and then still win in the final, to me, that's more impressive than not touching an elimination.
And that's, and
personally. It's a season by season basis, obviously, too, because political stature keeps you out of eliminations as well. So I think it goes on a case by case basis rather than just saying like one's more than the other for me.
And that's fair. But I think, and maybe that's where I'm sitting with the Laurel thing is, for me, like a lot of Laurel's issues on Free Agents were because she was not liked and because she was not playing likable with everybody. And I think that I just personally, I value political play and social play in the house and social value in the house. And I feel like she had absolutely zero social value in the house. Nobody really cared if she went home. It wasn't like, oh, we need you here. We need you part of our alliance. It was just, no, you're good, but I don't want to go against you. And I also don't want to play with you. So just get the fuck out. And granted, that didn't work. But I don't know. For me, I value how well you're able to integrate yourself into the house and into other alliances. And for me, Laurel just doesn't tick that box, especially not on Free Agents. I think she Fresh Meat too. I think she tried a little bit like her first initial season. She definitely tried, to make friends. And I know Laurel's not a social person. She's not a let's make friends. She doesn't want to be friends. She wants to sit in the room and read and write in her notebook and take her notes, which is cool. And I relate to that. And that's why I like Laurel so much, or did the last couple of seasons of kind of getting a little crazy. But
I think another part you have to factor into that too is who she beat. Now,
let's talk about who she beat.
She beat Jasmine, which is not impressive. The size difference
balls in.
Not impressive.
Not impressive at all.
Balls in.
Yeah,
but
she gave her one.
Yeah, she felt bad for her on that one.
Did.
But she also beat Anissa. And we just used Anissa as it
was a circa like hall brawl as well. She beat Anissa.
Yeah. And it was a standing point for Cara. The fact that Cara beat Anissa. I mean, now I know Laurel's a little bit more equal as far as probably sizing, overall size.
Right.
Height, she's got the advantage over Anissa, but I think Anissa's a little bit more muscular build than Laurel technically is.
I mean, maybe not during free agents time though.
Maybe not. Yeah. No, Anissa's always had a muscular build.
Well, no,
she's
for
always
sure.
been
I just meant
an athletic looking woman.
Yeah.
She put up a fight in that elim too, Anissa did, but Laurel just hits hard. So it's hard to beat Laurel in any type of physical elim.
But then she won the last 2 eliminations. The next one is against Cara Maria, albeit a broken hand Cara Maria. And
on Wrecking Wall.
Yeah, on a Wrecking Wall. But with that being said, once again, a GOAT.
Yeah. I mean,
then Teresa
that goat would have been taken behind the barn with a broken.
Cara's the GOAT. I thought you were saying Laurel's the GOAT. And I was like, but is she though?
I don't know anymore. One of the people's GOATs that she beat.
Right.
Now, albeit also not considered Cara's strongest season because she wasn't as athletically built as she came in later seasons, more prep. But it was the beginning of it. I think it was
tried to punch a wall with a broken wrist.
Yeah, I think it was Cara realizing, hey, I can actually do this, and I need to put in the work behind it.
That was her realization season.
Yeah,
this is what I want to do and who I want to be. And I think I agree with that.
And look, Teresa's no joke, especially in a puzzle.
No. Yeah, she's a tough out in it, especially in any elim, man. She's a tough one to beat, regardless.
And then you put her in the puzzle one, which is the one Bananas beat CT in, allegedly. So, I don't know. Those are some solid wins. I mean, if a gun's to my head and I have to pick between the two.
And she beat Nani in the final, which is she probably ranks in people's top 15 female challengers all time. Yeah,
she also beat Devin.
Yeah, she's top 5.
Yeah, and her wig or wigless Devin.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. Tamara.
Yeah, I'm just putting that out there. I mean, if gun to my head, I'm probably gonna.
Oh my god, that season! I'm done talking about who won. That season is so iconic.
Yeah,
the banana really costume, the funeral. The fucking hot dog challenge where they had to roll across the grates through the mustard and shit. The fucking strike a pose one where they had the bungee cord one where CT had his fucking feet off the sand by literally a half a centimeter. Oh my god, that season is so fucking good. I want to rewatch it now.
Isn't Free Agents the one where the first episode they had to run up a skyscraper chain together?
Yeah.
And then also has
people were trying to jump over each other.
Yeah. Then somebody got
concussed.
Yeah.
And I mean, honestly, looking at this cast, it's a fire fucking cast.
It is a fire cast. It is a fire cast, but so was Rivals too.
Who was their biggest competition in that whole season?
Emily's?
Yeah.
Emily, Cara, and Cook.
Yeah, but we were just saying Cara wasn't really in the same type of Cara in Free Agents. Now we're going back another season before that, even less physically active.
Because when Cara and Cook were a dominant.
Cook was a dominant person. Yes. Cara was not.
That's why I said Cara and fucking Cook. That's why I said it that way. Mm-hmm. Because
Emily had to go against both of them to win.
Cook definitely fucking carried that team. Yeah. Now, I'm not saying that Cara didn't perform well, because she definitely did. I think she did very well that season. But, I think she did better that season than she did on the following one on Free Agents, to be honest. But Cook was definitely driving that train. She was all the time. All right, Cara, let's go. Pick it up. Let's go. Cook was giving Cara that motivation, that push to keep going that season. But I mean, Cook was a dominant force that season. And I'm not saying it's the best cast ever, but I'm just saying, I don't know. That one's tough for me to pick between Emily and Laurel. You make good points for Free Agents, but I don't know.
I'm back and forth because really, looking at it objectively, Laurel's 4 eliminations are really 2. I'm not counting a balls in against Jasmine, who's 3 feet smaller than Laurel and Kara, who had one hand to punch and climb a wall.
Yeah.
Social game wasn't as swift, but
Swift was there though.
He was. He concussed somebody.
Sorry,
quite quickly.
Had to do it.
Had to do
Oh,
it.
of course you did.
Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah, like the social game wasn't great, but also like Emily isn't exactly known for her social skills either. Like Paula sort of led the social side of that.
Paula definitely carried the social side of it. But my thing is they won so much that season, they didn't even really need much of a social game because they were always fucking winning. Like
they only lost 4 dailies.
And there were times that TJ was literally like, Emily and Paula again. Emily and Paula won again. Can you guys guess? Emily and Paula again. And then when they crossed the finish line, he was like, I bet it's Emily and Paula. Hey, there they are. Like they completely dominated that entire season to the point I've never heard TJ predict a winner before the winner gets on the fucking boat and then be right. Like he already knew who was going to win that because they were that fucking dominant.
But couldn't you just like name them the winner before the season started?
I mean, you could. You definitely could. And there are
just by looking at it was like Bananas and Sarah when that season went off. You're like, well, do I need to watch this one?
I don't know. Honestly, like on what was that? Rivals 3?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Going into that, I didn't think they were going to work.
First of all, I didn't think they'd do
but
well
it was
together.
like if they can figure it out, like there's nobody that can touch them.
Yeah,
but I was actually thinking of Rivals 2 when we went into Rivals 2. Like everybody was like, "Oh, CT West," and I was sitting back and I was like, "But what about Zach and Trey? Because that's kind of scary. Like that's kind of a fucking." That's a tough team. Like, and they killed it for the first few dailies. Like CT and West couldn't get shit off. Bananas and
Jordan and Marlon.
They were so good.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, fuck, Bananas and Frank is no joke either. Like if you put Bananas and Frank on a team right now, they'd probably be favored in every single season that we've had partners wise in the last 5 years.
Today, Frank?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And that's crazy to say that I would take Today Frank over like 10 years ago, Frank. Like today, Frank that would be crazy.
If gun to my head, I had to make a choice.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go Emily. I really just can't argue about it because I'm gonna be honest.
You're very disheartened about that decision. I
won
heard
the
it in your
argument
voice.
with him. I won the argument with him.
It's just
I need a crown.
that win alone catapults Emily into the top 4 conversation for quite a few years after that.
Yeah, it really did.
And I mean, where Laurel was already considered top 4, this was more just the cherry on top.
This was like the okay, now you can officially put
it was kind of like CT winning Rivals 2. In Rivals 1, we all knew CT was the best player in that house.
Right.
But him winning...
man, I don't know.
I don't know. If you're looking at the season in a vacuum, though, I think I'm biased because obviously it's my pick, but I would still take Laurel free agents. Well, just the season itself, not what came before it or what came after.
So I guess
where are you sitting with Tony? Because I was going to say, if we're split down the middle on this,
it's going to the fans.
We'll pass this to the fans.
Because like
if I was going to win that one, but
if I'm looking at it too, right? Like the same reason that I can argue Adam and Steve is the reason that we can argue Laurel, because nobody wanted her in the house. Nobody wanted to work with her. Nobody wanted them in the house. Nobody wanted to work with them. She kept getting thrown in. They kept getting thrown in. They kept coming back and they won. She kept coming back and she won.
I'm trying to remember, and I don't know if you guys remember either, but I haven't watched Free Agents in a really long time. I can't remember if Laurel had any like alliance connection outside of Bananas that season, because that's one of the things with Adam and Steve that gets me. Yes, their approach to the social game was not that great, but they did have alliances. They did have people in there that were working to try to save them. From what I remember on Free Agents, the literal only person that Laurel was working with was Bananas. And that was it.
No, she was working with CT too.
Was she working with CT?
That's the rumored season.
Oh, no, that was Rivals 1.
I thought that was...
No, Rivals 1 is the one they hooked up.
I thought Rivals 1 was when he was hooking up with Mandy.
No, they started to, and then he started messing with Laurel, and Mandy got pissed, and she started fucking Wes.
Him and Laurel have never gone against each other. They always kind of look out for each other.
Fair. Maybe they were
same with Jordan. Jordan's on that season too.
Yeah.
Is that the season they hooked up?
I believe
Jordan? You know what?
I believe
You're
that's it. Yeah.
Free Agents was Jordan and Laurel. 21 Rivals was CT and Laurel. So, I mean, I guess maybe she did have more connections that season that I'm just not remembering. I don't know. This is such a tough one. I didn't mean to interrupt. Tony still hasn't answered. I cut him off.
Yeah. We could be split.
Yeah. I mean, fuck.
Just send it to the fans.
Yeah, I have to give it to Laurel because on top of all that, like, yes, breaking it down back and forth and everything, at the end of the day, solo win versus partner win.
Okay.
Ooh, I like that. All right, so
damn, you
guys,
got me there.
You let us know.
Yeah, Fandom.
Are you taking Emily or Laurel? Emily Rivals 2, Laurel Free Agents as the best single season for a woman of all time
ever played.
If you pick anyone else, you're automatically DQ'd. I'm doing that in my TJ voice after we get off the mic.
Yeah, DQ'd. Your game is over. You're on the flight home. Yeah. The next flight immediate. Yeah.
So
pack your shit.
Those are your two choices.
You got 20 minutes.
So we've got it down to the fans for the women, which they're going to vote best single season performance for a woman. Laurel on Free Agents or Emily on Rivals 2. Mm-hmm. Now let's see if we can take this one all the way down to a single winner for the men, or if we're going to have to send it to the fans too.
We'll see.
So up first, I've got CT season 37. Actually, you know what? Scratch that. Tony, you got two guys. You got to narrow this shit down. Are you taking Adam and Steve, or are you taking
three
Troy?
Guys? Two more and I can open a restaurant.
Whole squad, dude. He's riding deep.
Yeah, you
guys made me keep my team. Try to get rid of them.
I tried to tell you not to take them. I tried to tell you to take the other guy on your team.
I got rid of him just for you. Here's the thing. I'm not going to argue CT 24 over CT 37.
That's fair, but I don't think
some argument.
I think you got to figure out an argument between Adam and Steve versus Troy on Australia, so you know who you're coming with in this final argument.
I did some math while we were on a break. I wanted to give some floor space to Troy because he's super underappreciated as part of like the challenge, because he did well in both seasons that he played.
Yeah, he did.
And I would love to see him on Flagship, but I'm going to go with Adam and Steve for the sake of this argument because that carries the most water.
Yeah.
Okay. I can dig it.
That's fair.
All right. So how do you want to set up this bracket? You want to go CT 37 versus Adam and Steve, or either way, we're getting two goats going against each other in this first round.
Yeah. Well, let's just start here. Does anyone think that Adam and Steve on All Stars 5 is the best out of the four that we have on the board for the men?
Well, I have a question.
Okay.
Because earlier you discounted Ashley because she came in after the game had started.
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
So did Jordan on 40, Karina.
Yeah, but 24 hours. It probably wasn't even 24 hours. It's probably like 8 hours.
I've been holding on to that for the last 2 hours.
I think he missed
eating him alive.
He missed the first daily, right? Or something like that.
If that, yeah.
Because I think he was.
CT did it too on
30. Was he there for the paddle?
That doesn't matter.
The paddle, the miso soup bowl, wasn't that the first one on 40? I can't remember if Jordan.
It was the first one on 40, and then I'm not 100% sure if he was there or not. That's why I didn't expand my argument.
That's fair.
Beyond the fact that he came in late.
They called it on 40 that first
the invitational
name. The invitational thing.
Yeah. Invitational. That's
there was like 258 episodes in that season, so it's hard to remember every single one.
That season was so.
It was fucking brutal, man.
I feel like every season just gets longer and longer.
Like they do.
Like they literally 6 months start up in August and don't end till February.
Keeps you guys busy though.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, it also because they bleed into each other and overlap, they make them feel even longer.
Exactly.
Yeah. You guys thought you were getting a little bit of a break, and then you got All Stars right after.
Yeah.
Rick's like, I don't want to.
Anyway, if we're looking at this, to me, I feel like Adam and Steve are the odd men out. That's just my opinion.
I mean, it is kind of hard to go up against the absolute top 3 GOATs of all time on the show.
Can we give like King Tony like give us an argument for his pick over the other 3 for funsies?
For funsies, yeah. Adam and Steve came in as OGs, but immediately were deemed rookies by people who hadn't been playing the game as long. Some may not have even been alive when they started playing.
That's so fair.
That's fair.
It's fair.
It is.
And they immediately got put in right out of the gate. But they got put in because they were underestimated. And that worked for them. So they kind of kept that going. And they also came in with one of the freshest rivalries, albeit like it was a dumb rivalry. But to them it was valid, or to at least Adam it was valid.
It was more real than some of the other ones on there.
That's true.
That's what I mean. Is it was more real than some of the other rivalries that put them together, and it was more recent. So there was still hurt feelings there that couldn't have been repaired in that amount of time when you've got some people who haven't even like played the game in a while, and also people who have been in the circle of challenge players enough that they're going to kind of like run across each other or sort of even forget why they may have had beef to begin with. Like Fessy and Bamber, it was basically because he threw himself in to get rid of her and then she won. Like it's not something that's going to be long lasting beef.
Right. Yeah, but, exactly. You kind of already got your payback. You got what you asked for, bro.
Exactly. But like with Adam and Steve, they went in initially. Now, again, they went in the first elimination. They shouldn't have won. Like, it wasn't built for them to win. It was built for the other team to win.
Was that the crawly one through the...
Yeah, the crawly one with the
sticks and the big tube thing, and
like if it was the other way, you just want to take them all out and make sure your marble doesn't drop.
Kerplunk.
Yeah, kerplunk.
Sideways kerplunk. Yeah.
Yeah. So there were so many instances where they should have gone home, either because they were put up against somebody who should have beaten them, or they were put in an elimination that just shouldn't have worked for them. They didn't have the best social game on their own, but they partnered with people who had better social games than them. And they partnered with Veronica on arguably one of her most socially dominant seasons. And even though Frank did completely go back on his word several times, he still protected them a little bit. And it still sort of worked for them to be aligned with really Frank and Veronica, who were the more strategic and social players of this season. So they positioned themselves well. When they went into elimination, they always came back. And then they absolutely dusted the final.
Okay.
Do we want rebuttals on this?
Go for it.
No, none whatsoever. Moving on.
I am not accepting any rebuttals.
Mute his microphone.
And all the women too. And the children. Look, if they would have beat 5 other men teams in elimination, I would have a real argument for them. But majority of the teams they beat in elimination were women teams, and some of them strength and athleticism did play a role. So that's kind of my biggest hindrance. And then also the fact that you said it, socially they had a horrible fucking game. They just happened to be partnered with the social fucking expert that is Veronica, and she
so
basically guided them.
Their social game was to partner with people who had better social game than them to get them further.
Yeah, but I'm also saying the 3 other guys that you're going up against had good social game regardless of who they were working with.
That's fair.
Their social game stands.
I'm not arguing them to the top of.
No, that was my rebuttal
I'm just arguing
to your Adam and Steve. That's all. Okay. So if we're...
Yeah, I was going to say, I personally will not be going with Adam and Steve. They are personally going off my list of all-time best seasons. But what I will give them is that out of the 4 that are here, they might have the most entertaining run on a season.
Agreed.
Like them together is just hilarity. I love watching them together. They make the show fun. That final elimination that would have been absolute dog piss was actually fun to watch because of Adam and Steve. So, I will give them that. I think they take the crown on the entertainment factor, confessional factor, stuff like that. Maybe not confessionals, because you also have like Bananas in here who gives really good confessionals, but they kind of take the hat on entertainment factor in my opinion, but there's just too many things that fall a little short compared to the other three for me. So
yeah, and I mean, like I was going to put an argument against Bananas as far as this not even being his best season, but once you factor in like strength of schedule, who he went against in free agents compared to Rivals 3, it makes that argument a lot harder. Like he was supposed to be socially dominant in Rivals 3, especially playing with Sarah, where in free agents, there's a couple points where you could look at him and be like, he probably should have lost that.
He wasn't really running the social game very much in free agents too, especially because like if he was, he wouldn't have gone into 3 eliminations, especially against the guys he went in against.
Oh, those were definitely shots fired for sure.
So, I mean, and here's my thing. Once again, we have the debate of we've got 2 guys who didn't see an elimination the whole season, and one who arguably both of them should have seen an elimination based on just what their record is. To me, what's more impressive is the fact that CT didn't see an elimination and just won the previous season and is one of the few guys to go back to back.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, I will say that 37, CT was winning a lot. And that was also one of those seasons where we had the format where it was like, you're by yourself and then you're in a team and then you're by yourself, and when he was in that team format, what was that? He was on Emerald, I think, or Sapphire or something. Emerald. I can't remember. But when they were in that team, that team was on fire. You know what I mean? Like we had those 2 incredible dailies that he performed in, the little water hose one. And then the one where he was like
the heights over water one,
where they were throwing the ball thing at him and he just ran, made it look like freaking,
albeit he's doing this all while he's over 40 years old.
Exactly. You know what I mean? So super, super, super impressive.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I can make an argument for either 3 of these guys. I mean, like, I'm going to let you guys debate something down first. Chris, let's hear your argument for Bananas.
Yeah, I was going to say, I want to hear the argument for Bananas because right now I'm ready to knock Bananas off the board. So I got to hear an argument for him.
Okay. Bananas on free agents, 4 daily wins, obviously on a stacked cast of challengers. The 3 elimination wins, obviously Isaac doesn't stack up very well, but taking on Jordan. Now, this was the iconic moment of Jordan kind of low-key running the social game and always having it out for Bananas. This is only Jordan's like 2nd season at the time. I think it's his 2nd.
It was, yeah.
And then his whole vendetta against Bananas was like, because Bananas kept saying to him the entire season was like, you need to prove yourself. Bananas goes into a limb. Jordan flips the kill cards. And obviously the elimination doesn't end up going Jordan's way. Is it almost a feather in Bananas' cap that he was able to like birth the like epicness that is Jordan? Because that next season, Jordan kind of like bends the knee and works with Bananas that next season when he had it out for him so hard the season before. So was it almost like a feather in the cap for Bananas on free agents to birth the guy that we considered like the challenge GOAT, to kind of humble him in that moment? And then seasons after that, they kind of have it. They kind of have a handshake agreement post free agents, right? And then, I know you're getting ready. And then the elimination before the final is CT and Bananas, and that was always the argument between who was the challenge GOAT at that time, was CT or Bananas. And Bananas beats him in a puzzle pyramid. Allegedly. I know, like there's allegedly, but we don't do allegedlys on the challenge these days. A win's a win.
No, yeah, for sure.
Bananas beats CT in multiple puzzles to eliminate CT before the final, and then he beats Johnny Riley in his rookie season, which is not impressive. But he beats Zach Nichols in that season, who is perennially always in the running to win a final.
And that might have been his prime season too. Like that might have been Zach's prime. Maybe aside from,
for sure,
Vendettas was definitely, up there for his prime, but free agents might have been his absolute prime physical condition.
If we're talking checking boxes, obviously you have daily wins is a check, elimination wins is a check. Entertainment value is always a check for Bananas. The only miss he might have on his record for free agents is his social game, because he wasn't for one of the very few times in his challenge career, he wasn't the one running the social game. But now this season proved that even when his back is against the wall, he can still come out on top and still overcome all the obstacles that are stacked against him when people think that he can't. Normally, you consider him a winner. Normally people consider him the winner because he just runs the whole season and then walks to the final and wins. But then this season, when he has his back against the wall, he's still able to come out on top and still take out. We're talking about Mount Rushmore guys. Bananas wins this season. He beats Jordan in elimination and he beats CT in elimination. Those are three of the top three right there.
Yeah. I mean, my main argument against the Jordan one is he beat a one-handed man in a competition about climbing and punching through a wall.
It's kind of like the Laurel versus Cara one, right? It's
That's just the luck of the draw, too. Yeah, we didn't know what the elimination was going to be beforehand.
Well, Jordan knew, and he flipped the cards and walked right to it.
Yeah.
I hate to do this because I'm defending Bananas on this one, but I will also say, as much as yes, the elimination wasn't set up for Jordan to win, and he knew going in that, but he had already committed to flipping the cards, so he did. But Bananas put everything in motion to make Jordan do that. Like, he goaded him and he cajoled him and he said, you need to prove yourself. And he kept coming back from elimination and he kept poking and prodding Jordan, which is what he does. And it just so happened that when it came down to it, yes, the elimination was by chance. But we also know that whatever it is, Jordan's going in because Jordan doesn't go back on his word when he says something. So when Bananas walks in and sees what the elimination is, you already know that Jordan wants to go up against Bananas. This is really best case scenario for Bananas because he can take him out potentially on an elimination that's not well suited to Jordan at all, when he was the one that put everything in motion to make Jordan get to that point.
I guess my issue with it is the fact that the card flip is more iconic than the actual elimination win.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's
the actual game itself. I agree.
Yeah.
But the name on the resume is iconic.
The name on the resume is iconic, and I won't argue that.
And removing that person from the game.
With somebody that was at the time had a bigger upper hand in the social game than Bananas did at that time. That kind of swung the game in his favor by taking him out. And like Tony said, kind of goading him into using his ego against him to throw himself into elimination.
Mm-hmm, okay. Mm-hmm. Well, and another thing that I just want to point out, and again, I'm in the same place you are, Tony. It feels so weird to be arguing for Bananas. But if I remember correctly, Free Agents was Bananas' fifth win, if I remember correctly. That was his fifth win because, gosh, now I have to double check because I have to know for sure.
Because Total Madness
was his sixth.
Was seven. Because
Rivals 3 was 6.
Okay, so Free Agents was
number 5.
Was Bananas' fifth.
It was him passing Laurel. I'm sorry.
Stole our thunder. Hit the Homer Simpson.
It really was dope. It's a tough argument because it really is an iconic win. It really is a really masterfully played season. I guess, once again, it's the value, especially against CT, like I'll say, is the fact that that was arguably Bananas' prime when he did it. CT's doing it post-prime, doesn't see elimination, won the previous season, is going against rookies, and these weren't small rookies. He could have been thrown in at any time against a Kells or against a Fessy. Is part of the head alliance that sets up, let's get rid of the rookies so the vets stay, and then the vets will shake it out. Get to the vets, nobody wants to throw him in, doesn't even see it, and then makes it to the final after he just made it to the final of the previous season. It's just everybody knows his game, talks about stopping it, but never lets it happen. And this is, I think, just a masterful way of that, a game that only CT could play. And it's the best version of it.
Is this the argument between Bananas and CT to go up against Jordan in the 40?
I think it is, honestly. I mean, because I hate to say this, if I'm comparing season 40 Jordan's performance versus season 37 CT's performance, I think Jordan plays a more masterful game and it's a more steeper competition.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I think that's the biggest argument against CT in this one. And I'm giving the argument up for CT on this is who did he beat?
Yeah. Who did he beat in the final? And also, I think you touched on this a little bit, but I'm just going to wrap up my two arguments here. My argument against Bananas on free agents. Now I've given him his credit. Now I'm going to argue against him. Bananas was this fucking close to losing to a nobody. And that's going to be my same argument for CT on 37. He was this fucking close to losing to Tori and Kyle. Jordan outperformed that final so much that even the popularity points couldn't touch him. And that to me is incredibly impressive. To be somebody that nobody really likes that much. It's not like he got the top male votes, for the karma points, which was stupid, but we won't get into that.
Yeah, no.
But the fact that he outperformed that final to a point where the karma points didn't even matter and nobody was even within arm's reach of him is super impressive to me. Like, to win and then to win by that much is just crazy. And it's not like he was going against, nobodies. Like, I know Derek C isn't technically like a top tier competitor, but he fucking was in that final. Like, he performed very, very well. And that whole season, really, like ever since his return, Derek Chavez has really like impressed me. Who else was there? Bananas. So
and then
Kylan is no fucking joke, so it's kind of like, like you said, with CT, who did you beat? With Johnny Bananas, yes, Johnny Riley is an absolute powerhouse and Zach's a powerhouse, but we saw what happened with Zach. And to me, that's kind of like, okay, that's all right. Johnny Riley, that him being so close to Johnny Riley, that's kind of what I'm looking at is it's like, yes, you won this one, but you were so close to him. Whereas Jordan was like miles away. So for me, that just carries a little more weight.
Sure. Can I also counter with
please.
The fact that Jordan won his final in the water, which is super impressive, but also it's a skill that maybe only half the challengers in challenge history like can obtain. The fact that he won it in a heavy swimming final, I feel like that nerfs almost every competitor he goes against because he is like a triathlete. He trains in the water. That's not typically a skill that we see in challenge finals. Whereas we're typically used to like high terrain, running. Those are skills as far if your cardio holds up, you can hold up in a running or a lifting or in the water, it gets different. And when you have a guy that's as skilled as Jordan in the water, once you saw that there was water involved in the final, you knew that Jordan was going to win by a landslide. Which, I don't know. I feel like that kind of adds a little bit to the argument as well.
And just to and I'm not going to count the karma points for this because they're dumb. They don't matter. Jordan beat everyone. Jordan had 27 points at the end of the day. And the next closest was Jenny with 22.
Right. Yeah.
So that's like an entire checkpoint.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
And the next closest person wasn't even the next closest male. Like,
I would like to point out, though, it was a two-way tie for the next closest without karma points between Michelle and Derek. So fuck you, whoever may not have got second place for the women.
So are we saying, and I just want to kind of gauge where we're at on this. Are we strictly arguing Jordan versus Bananas, or are we still considering CT in this as well?
I mean, I think that CT's 37 is up there. I think it's definitely arguable. I think that number one for me, a big thing that takes away from 37 is that massive, massive vet alliance. And I know Jordan had, the vacation alliance on 40, that he was kind of working with, although a lot of them got taken out pretty fucking quick. So it wasn't like they had like all of them there. And they were on different eras. So that was difficult to navigate as well. Whereas, on 37, they had that massive vet alliance where it was like half the fucking cast working together. And then on top of that, which this is actually kind of a plus for CT because this just shows how great he is socially. He had that massive vet alliance, and then he was also, pulling rookies under his wing. Let me teach you. Let me show you how to do this.
Huey.
And now they're loyal to him, because he taught them something. So, I mean, that's a plus, but then the vet alliance, the big giant vet alliance is kind of a negative for me. Some of the people on the season, great, but who he actually ran against in the finals, kind of a negative. So it's like, I don't know.
To me, his competition, even in the very last part, is tougher than Banana's competition going against Johnny Riley.
And that's fair.
Because I would take Kyle or any of those other guys in that final over Johnny Riley.
Nelson was there. Kyle was there. Who else was there? Was it Corey? No.
Corey wasn't
Devin.
on that. Devin was there.
So it was Devin, Kyle, Nelson, and CT.
Oh, yeah, that was when Devin got to the checkpoint last, but still rattled off all the
20
numbers.
Yeah. Tori and Kyle were literally 10 seconds behind CT and Casey putting that pin in. Like, it was a very close final.
Yeah. I mean, and here's my thing is, I think Banana's free agent has the stronger cast that he beat, but CT's final has the stronger cast that he beat.
Well, and for me, I think that this also kind of goes back to, a discussion we were having earlier with the women. And I think it was Chris that said it, could have been Tony. I don't know. My brain's all jumbled now. But in this situation, we are currently looking at 2 individual seasons versus a partner season. And for me, that automatically kind of drops that third season. And
what's a partnered season?
37. It was a part because they ended the final on a partners. Final. That's what I meant. Like,
partnered finals. Yeah. But free agents was partnered finals too.
I guess, yeah, it was. So, the whole final was partnered.
Yeah, and I mean, if you look at the layout, like the way they did dailies, I mean, yeah, there were probably more team dailies in 37. But they also did team dailies and free agents.
Yeah, they did them in 40. Well, not team, team, not partner, but team.
So, I mean, to me, like the seasons are really comparable. It's really just, I guess, what do you value more? Do you value the never going into elimination, playing a social game that just dominates rookies, or Bananas basically punch for punch going up against these other guys and then making it to a final where, in my opinion, he's kind of a shoe-in to win?
Damn, dude, this is messed up.
You also got to build your final the way that you want to build it to win. And the fact that Bananas didn't even get to build his final, he had to win versus CT to get into a final versus Johnny Riley and Zach, which had it gone the other way, CT beats Bananas in that puzzle pyramid. CT still dusts Johnny Riley and Zach in that final.
Oh, yeah.
So that's a win for CT. So it's tough to argue building the final for him in that season specifically, because he had to win his way in. And I just feel like the way that he had to get there and then still overcome the names that he overcame and then still beat Zach, who's still considered a top challenge at the time, to get a win, for me, it weighs pretty heavy. Because in Jordan with 40, and I know it just happened, so it's almost recency bias as well, and his season was very dominant, but the format lent itself to Jordan's gameplay because all the girls wanted to keep him around in case they had to run a final with him. So the social game, he didn't really need to do much in that aspect of the game because he's so dominant, where the girls were like, we don't need to send Jordan in. We don't need to get Jordan to go home because if it comes down to us running with him, we want to run with that guy. So he didn't really need to do much socially. He's like, you girl, you want to run with me? Cool. All right, cool. I don't really need to do much. Bet. I'll see you guys in the final. So that's kind of, I think that kind of takes away a checkpoint from his resume on 40.
That's fair. Shoot, I totally forgot I sneezed and forgot what I was going to say.
Okay.
Do you want me to jump in while you think about it?
Go for it. Yeah.
So looking at CT versus Bananas in this one, I will say, as much as we're not counting previous seasons, we have to look at the threat level coming into the game. CT's coming in off of a win. And albeit it's a partnered win, but it's still a thumbs up. It's a super dominant win nonetheless.
Yeah.
Bananas is coming in having previously only won teams and partner seasons.
Right.
And just got
Into an
smoked by
individual
CT.
game.
Just got his ass whipped by CT the season before.
So he's not coming in with as big of a threat level. So he's not as big of a concern because he's got that like wounded dog mentality where he's trying to somewhat keep a low profile because he doesn't know who he can trust because he just came off of being smoked and doesn't really know where he stands with other people in the house versus CT coming in. People who are on Spies, Lies, and Allies are people who grew up watching the show and are now playing with CT. It's like when Jay looked at CT on 35 and CT was like, don't make this weird. And he's like, it is weird.
Yeah, don't make it weird, bro.
Like, yeah. So I think that you have to, as much as you don't want to take other seasons into consideration, you have to take the threat level into consideration. And I think that CT was coming in with a bigger target on his back than Bananas would have been coming into on free agents.
Okay.
Yeah. And I mean, I think we have to get down to the definition of it, right? Is, to me, the perfect gameplay is not going into the elimination at the end of the day.
That is my opinion of perfect gameplay. And especially that, and I just remembered what I was going to say. That's actually my biggest plus for Jordan on 40 is that, yes, he did have a lot of female, alliances and people that he was working with. However, he won half the dailies and almost every single one of those wins was on a male day. He won every single time he knew he had to win. And the 2 times he didn't win were times Tori won. So he knew he was cool. She ain't sending him into that males eliminate, So I value very much people who can people who have control of their game, right? I definitely admire situations like Bananas on free agents where they're under the gun, they're under pressure. Chris on USA 2, was it? Mm-hmm. Yeah, USA 2. Under the pressure. Nobody wants you here. You're always in elimination, struggling to win dailies. Bananas on free agents doesn't even know what language they speak in Australia. I feel for that. I recognize that. Okay. But I really admire people who can literally control the whole flow of the game and have control over, even just having control over, I need to win this daily, so I'm going to do it and then do it. That's super impressive to me. So I've heard the arguments. I've taken them all in, but I am sticking with Jordan season 40 as my perfect best played season of all time.
Socially, he also took the targets when it was his turn to take them.
That's true. He never once backed away. You know what I mean? When he needed to put himself up as target, so I mean, that's a big, he did what he had to do.
All right. So here's
sure. But that was also, those were calculated risks.
I'm going to.
Yes, they were. Absolutely.
I'm going to do something to make this interesting because here's my thing. CT
Troy on Australia.
Yeah, no. CT 37 versus Bananas 24 or 25 is a really good argument because it's polar opposites of gameplay. And you can argue that, right? I can't argue CT 37 against Jordan 40 just based on strength of cast, who he went against.
That's fair.
He went against everyone.
Here's the thing. CT didn't have to go into a season with Bananas and Jordan in it. Jordan had to go into a season with Laurel, Bananas,
CT,
Jordan,
Derek,
or CT, Derek, multiple champions. And same with Bananas. He went into a season, albeit Jordan didn't have his 5 champions. He's still the guy that won 5 championships. So we know how good he is.
Mm-hmm.
CT still won 5 championships. We know how good he is.
Right.
So I'm going to withdraw 37 from this. And I want to send it to the fans and see what they think.
You want to send Jordan 40 and Bananas 25 to the fans?
Yeah, see what they think. I mean, we're going to get ripped for not having CT in here, but fuck it.
Do you want to leave CT
on the board? We did for a while.
We did for a while. We
did.
We argued him longer than Kara.
We did. It's just hard.
Yeah.
It's just hard to, like you said, it's hard to justify 37. I truly think that the argument is between Bananas free agents and Jordan. What was this season called? Jordan 40. I don't know what it was called. Battle of the
Eras.
Oh, Battle of the Eras. I just kept thinking battle for a new champion. I'm like, that's not right.
Yeah.
I truly do think it boils down to those two. Because like even now, I just told you guys, I've heard your arguments. I'm sticking with Jordan. But now I'm back the other way. I'm like, but what about this? Because like Bananas has like one of the most iconic fucking lines in challenge history on free agents. And I know that's not a big thing, but for me, that's massive.
It's entertainment.
You know? Dutch.
That's entertainment. Check the box.
You know? And then we get the reaction from, who was that? Swift, where he turns in his confessional. He's like, what?
Yeah.
You know, we get the confessional from Kahutta that was just absolute fucking magic from this whole, situation. So this is a tough one. This is a really, really tough one.
The other thing, too, is like, and as much as I, again, hate to be defending Bananas plays best when he's under the gun. He doesn't play his best when he's in control of the game.
You're right.
He plays the best, and he's the most interesting as a player.
Yeah.
When he's up against it.
We saw that on 40, to be honest. Like, and I know a lot of people kind of looked at him as like the underdog, but I really don't think him and Rachel and Jenny and them were the underdog alliance. I think it was pretty even between him and Rachel and Jenny and Aviv and Tori and Michelle and Jordan and Devin. Well, obviously Devin wasn't there for super long, but, Bananas was, he had moments on 40, but it wasn't as much fun to watch him on 40 as I remember how much fun it was to watch him on 25.
I do find it very interesting that this final debate is coming down to, and Chris made this argument, is it more important that Bananas helped launch Jordan's career because of this? That iconic moment where he kind of goaded him in, it really launched Jordan as an iconic player at that point.
I disagree with that highly, but
Jordan was not iconic prior to free agent. He was not an iconic for his falling out of a kayak in the final in Rivals 2. That's not. There was nothing.
The only reason he didn't win Rivals 2.
I don't think they
would have won Rivals 2, but there were plenty other things during that season that had people take notice of him. Not
take notice,
the
but
fucking Jordan Marlin versus what's their faces?
Yeah, against Leroy and Ty.
The double hall brawl.
Yeah,
that shit was insane.
If this whole Jordan and Bananas thing on free agents goes the other way and Jordan beats Bananas with the massive ego that he had at the time, do we still see the same Jordan that we have now? If it had gone that way? I know it's hard to
does he make the final?
Revisionist history is hard to argue. But does Bananas humbling Jordan to the point where the very next season Jordan is willing to work with Bananas when they had this massive rivalry season before?
But here's my thing. Number one, did Bananas actually humble Jordan? Because Jordan's not humble in any way, shape, or form, and we know that.
I don't know, because we've seen Jordan on the real world and those first two challenge seasons, and he's very different in those 3 blocks of time than he is anything post free agents.
I personally think that reality stars go on TV with the intention of being truly themselves, and then they encounter the fandoms and then they adjust. So I don't know if I would attribute it to that. I also believe that no matter who was standing there, whether it was Bananas, whether it was CT, whether it was Zach, whether it was whoever, Jordan was going to do what he did. So I have trouble giving Bananas credit for creating Jordan. I have a lot of trouble. With that.
Sure, but you're willing to base the fact that he was able to throw that ego against a patriarch of the franchise at the time.
Right. Well, and I totally get that. I'm just saying, I think, and maybe it's just the wording of it. I can't attribute Bananas to creating Jordan.
Let me rephrase. I find it very ironic that Jordan played a very pivotal role in this Banana story in 28. And without Bananas in 40, Jordan's a shoo-in, and it's no longer considered the greatest season. Because Bananas, his main antagonist throughout the season, and then the main competition in the final. Because any other final we walk into, and it's Jordan, no offense to Derek Chavez and Kylan, but Jordan against those two, it's a shoo-in that Jordan wins at every fucking time. With Bananas in there, you say, there's a chance somebody can beat him.
Right.
So I just find it very ironic that these two are facing off in the fans' vote and also played such a pivotal role in both of the other person's win. That's what I was saying.
On 40.
Yeah.
He came in third on 40.
The other thing that I will say is
Yeah, but still, I mean, I'm talking about preconceived notion of looking at a final. You're going to tell me that you would pick Derek C. and Kylan over Bananas in his history.
Not Kylan, just based on like still being new to the franchise, even though he is a fan of the franchise.
Mm-hmm.
But looking
Bananas
at Derek,
post 40.
Yeah, looking at Derek C. coming off of All Stars 4, going into 40, I would say that it's a lot closer between Derek and Jordan than it is Bananas and Jordan, just because physically, Bananas on 40 isn't Bananas on Free Agents. Like, he's not built the same. And like, Derek C is like, you look at any time that Derek has had to do anything endurance based, he's usually out in front.
Yeah, that's true.
I would put him as a closer second. Not obviously he came second, but like I would put him in a tighter race with Jordan than I would put Bananas present day in a final. Like, take the rest of the game out of consideration. You just put them in a final against one another. I'm going to pick Derek C as a closer competitor.
I disagree. I think the reason that played that role is because it was a primarily swimming competition. You throw puzzles, eating, anything else in there, and I think Bananas is a lot better than you think. I think also the fact that Bananas has more losses in finals when he only has lost, I think, 3 finals in his complete history compared to Derek's 2 final appearances negates that whole argument, in my personal opinion. Now, while Derek is a great competitor and I like him a lot, comparing his final abilities to a man who's won 7, I think is an absurd argument.
He's won 7 with teams early in the career when the challenge was different, and partners.
Remind me what season Derek won.
He didn't, but he's also better now.
What argument are we having here?
I'm saying that Derek now is built better to compete in a challenge final than Bananas is.
I understand that, but I'm saying that Bananas is still a bigger threat than Derek ever will be, even in season 40, even in season 45.
Look at his last couple of showings, though, like Bananas in finals.
In the flagship, he's made finals.
Yeah, he's made finals.
The 7-time champ that nobody wants to see in a final still makes finals.
Yeah, Derek hasn't been on the show in a while. He's just getting back into the rotation.
It's
apples and oranges. Yeah. Like, in all honesty, like, we're talking about 2 completely different things.
Yeah,
and we're running parallel.
To me,
but just for argument's sake.
Yeah, to me, I don't think you can make the comparison. That's like making the comparison of Kyle and CT. Yeah, Kyle was right there, 30 seconds, or like he got there 30 seconds before CT. But are we really saying that Kyle's a better challenger than CT?
Right.
No.
That's fair.
I'm not saying that he's a better challenger overall. I'm simply saying that in going into this final, I had more money on Derek C.
It wouldn't have been crazy to assume that Derek C would perform well, and he did.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
I think the swimming heavy aspect of it has something to do with that, though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look at Kylan.
Yeah.
I mean, it completely.
If it was a running final, we had Kylan too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, if it was a running final, I think that the finishing order changes a little bit.
Oh, I think it goes Jordan, Kylan, Derek,
Bananas. Or maybe even Bananas, Derek. I'm not sure.
If you have like puzzle checkpoints and stuff, I would put Bananas over Derek.
It's tough. Well, yeah, because with the puzzles, eating, it just depends on what they get overnights.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that was something I was.
Does Bananas have Adderall or no?
Yeah.
Right.
Do they air parts of the challenge or do they just omit them?
Oh my God. Oh my God.
That's why Rivals 3 didn't make it that far.
Yeah. And I didn't even have to bring that argument up, but I was ready to. But oh my God, really quick. Did you guys catch the fucking shots fired by Jordan on his Instagram stories about a week ago? Fucking shots fired at Bananas.
No.
I saved the fucking video. I will send it.
Don't tell me that they're fighting now. I can't have these guys going into future challenges, rivals again.
I don't know if I can.
They heard we were going to be having this debate, and they just started taking shots.
Let me see really quick if I can play it through the microphone really quick. It's like super quick. All right. Here, let me see if it'll actually play.
This is Jordan talking, obviously.
I was prescribed with ADHD, like severe ADHD, obviously. That's not gone through. back when I was in high school, and I hate that rule. I hate it. It's so funny that one of your top champions hates that role and actually needs it. The other top champion doesn't need it, but fucking loves it.
Jordan's a fucking savage. I'm just going to be honest.
I was like, bruh. So one of the fans sent that to me. I was like, bruh. Fucking Jordan. Okay, so
Of course.
and the more that I hear challengers talk about this, I'm like, this ain't a conspiracy anymore. This is proven fact, man. We've heard it from Devin, who was literally there at that final. Anyway, I'm not going to get into this. We've already been going for almost 3 hours. All right,
Luckily, we're not arguing that final.
No, we're not.
Shit.
All right, so I have us sending the men to the fans too, because we cannot make a decision tonight. So we've got the polls that are going out to you guys out there in the fandom. We've got for best female season, Emily Schramm on Rivals 2 and Laurel on Free Agents. And then we have Jordan on season 40 and Bananas on Free Agents. So we're going to put
it's a testament to Free Agents.
We're going to put these polls out everywhere. They're going to be on Instagram. We're going to get them out on YouTube. We're going to get them out on TikTok and just all the places.
Facebook, MySpace. I won't get it there.
Yeah.
I'm going to run these polls for like a week. So make sure you guys go and find them. Make sure you go vote. We'll have stories and also posts. So if you miss our stories with the actual like vote button, you can always go and just type a name into the comments on the post. But make sure you guys get your word in, because we're going to like make a big thing about this. We're going to make final graphics and all that stuff. So go make sure you get your vote in for the challenger that you want to be like crowned best season ever played.
No, do it.
I think it's fair that we like came down in this debate to the point where we then once again pitch it to the fans. They were the ones who suggested it.
Yeah.
And it makes sense that we narrow it down to 2 in each category and let them duke it out.
Yeah, there's just and it also doesn't help that there's an even number of us here tonight, so we can't.
Yeah, if we had one more person on the show tonight, we wouldn't have to do this.
We would be able to narrow it down, but we can't. So the fans, you're going to be our 5th host, and you are going to make the decision between these 2 sets here.
Do the right thing.
Yeah, fans, I just want to say I love you guys. Just vote Free Agents both ways.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a testament to Free Agents as a season that both of them came up.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
I think it's funny that like one of the least iconic seasons still produced one of the better season or single seasons with CT in 37.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of interesting. But yeah, no. Guys, hop on their vote because you're making the decision, and then we'll post the winners. With that being said, I think that pretty much wraps it up for tonight. What do you guys think?
Yeah. I mean, this was
fun, man.
Yeah.
That was a good combo.
Yeah.
I really liked it. I think we got some good debates out of it, and I had my mind changed like 1,600 times. So,
which doesn't happen often around here.
It really doesn't. It's not easy to change my mind. Like once I'm set on something, it's that. And so I was sitting here like, shit, I didn't think about that.
With that being said, if you guys want to vote season 37 CT, it's not an option.
If you guys want to write it in, you can still vote green if you want.
Exactly.
Yeah, look, I'm going to be honest. It's probably a good idea that I just decided to drop CT because just based on his level of influence in the fandom, he would have won.
You almost have to drop CT and Kara from everything because they'll win just based off how big their fandoms are. It's not even like whether or not it's true. It's just how many fans they have. It's crazy. I should have
just kept my Kara Bloodlines argument this whole time.
You would have won. Yeah, exactly.
Easily won. Yeah.
All right. Well, guys, that wraps it up for us. So for myself, Ricky Hayes, my beautiful wife, Karina Hayes, Tony Stats and Info Lance, and of course, Chris DiCarlo from Caged In Podcast. Whoa, we got some balloons. That's how you know it's a celebration right now.
Right?
That's right.
We want to thank you,
my MacBook.
So much for coming on, dude. It's been an even better conversation, I think, the last time, because instead of just recapping an episode, we got to really sit here and debate some shit down. So we appreciate you taking the 3 hours to sit here with us and go through it all.
Thank you guys for having me on, man. It's always a blast coming on, talking with you guys. Tony, it was nice finally meeting you.
Yeah,
you weren't on the last time I was on. Anytime you guys need me to come on and chop it up with you, I'm always down.
Well, love it.
Rumor is we're going to have 41 here in the next few months. So we might have to have you back to recap one of those with us, or Who knows? Maybe we can find more than just the CT and Laurel fights and actually debate that one down.
I know. I keep thinking about that. I'm like, it would be so fun to talk about what's the best fights. But then I'm like, what really is there to argue against besides like CT versus Adam and Laurel versus Brad? Like, what other fight could ever outdo those two?
I know what we're going to do for our next one with Chris.
What?
Best physical elimination of all time.
Ooh, best physical elimination would be good, actually.
I mean, I'm just going to say it's probably either Derek's in one
Derek
of the winners.
and
It's either Derek and Joss or Derek and Wes, in my opinion.
Oh, fuck.
Sure.
Derek and Wes, too, yeah.
Or we do like a fantasy fight bracket.
Oh,
We just
There you go.
make
That would be
pair
fun.
up.
Yeah.
maybe we could mend the two worlds of our podcast and do like who would win in a UFC fight, CT versus Kells or some shit.
Oh, that would be
or
fun, yeah.
Fessel,
That would be fun.
I'm taking Idris Virgo over anybody.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, that's a win.
It's probably going to come down to
like a boxer or something like that.
He's a pro boxer.
Yeah, that's what I
I
thought.
think like
If there's rules involved, give me Idris Virgo.
yeah.
There you go.
I mean, it's kind of like how Wes explained swimming to us. Like
Darrell
Darrell is a great boxer, but Idris is on a whole nother level
Gotcha.
of good.
That
You
makes
know what I
sense.
mean? Like,
Okay.
so, all right. Well, before we start debating other shit or just
Yeah.
breaking other stuff down, let's get out of here. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. If you've liked what you've heard all 2.5, 3 hours, whatever this boils down to, hopefully you've hit subscribe so you don't miss these other episodes. We've got a bunch more coming out to you. And other than that, thank you guys. Be good to each other. Peace.
Later.
Bye. Yeah.
Dude, that's going to be the closeout scene right there.
It is. That's awesome.
Love it.